All right, and we are live for season 9, episode 11.
Welcome
Hello,
to another
everyone.
episode of the Musty Wargamers Show
We
with the
got,
usual suspects. Yes, we are
as usual,
suspects.
usual
As
suspects,
usual.
as usual.
Yeah.
So we got Welcome Back Games, Chris in the comments. Hey, Chris, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, Chris.
Got a couple other people lurking there, it looks like, unless that's us.
That's
One
not
of us
me.
clicked on it. Okay, it's not me either. So, yeah. Anyways, hello, everybody that's watching, and hello to Chris currently that is in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So before we get into our updates, we'll just kind of go. Okay, Dan, do you want to start?
That's new. I'm all discombobulated now.
It's like I hear bongo drums someplace. Where the heck those come from?
Yeah, I'll go first. Let's see. I was supposed to have gotten a game of bolt action in last Sunday with Mark, and much anticipated, and he was sick, so at the last minute he canceled. So we didn't get that in, but supposedly we rescheduled for this weekend. So we'll see if this weekend. So
cool.
Yeah.
So I'll get some. Hopefully, get a game in. I had the table all set, my miniatures all sorted with the list picked and ready to go, and it was kind of canceled last minute because he said I was kind of hoping I was going to come, kind of start feeling better, and he said he didn't. So, but that's okay. And
happens.
Yeah,
rescheduled.
Yeah. Well, this weekend sounds like we're going to try to get it in, so we'll see. And then I've been still painting on my unit of Bretonian foot knights, so I'm up to. I do need to post some pictures. I never have a good spot to take the pictures, so I don't. Since I used to take them on my table next to me here when I had it all set up with the Normandy terrain, because I could put a place where it looked right and it was green, and here it looks kind of funky, so I don't up against some storage tank or something that's
the Comrade Priestess.
Yeah, because I've got the Stalingrad table up, but I'm up to, let's see, 12. I'm almost done with 16 on the unit of 20 I'm working on. So
impressive.
Yeah, so it's kind of slow process with painting each one individual, and I'm trying to.
That's considering that's pretty good progress. So
yeah, and trying to enjoy the process. But right now I'm actually working on one that's. I know you can never really see what I show.
Let me just go in here. There you go.
Yeah, this one happens to be. This is Reaper miniatures. Yeah, no, it's really bright, but it's all metal unit. I think I've talked about them before, but it's a mixture of Games Workshop, Front Rank, Black Tree Design, some custom.
Nice.
Yeah.
So they're all slightly different heights because they're actually people.
Yes, but they do work, and I kind of cheated a little bit because I'm like, I wanted to use some of the old original Bretonians foot knights that they had from, I don't know if it was like 92 or somewhere in there. You can still get them. Foundry you can still get them from Foundry. They're just not on the slotted base. They're just a puddle base.
Yeah. Right.
But they're a little shorter because they're more like 25 instead of 28. So I built the base up a little bit with some foam core and put them up, and it actually works because when you look across the unit, their height, and they're not so much smaller that they look like dwarves. They're just a little shorter. So just put them up there, and that actually worked pretty good. So it's fun to have a mixture, and it's going to be all metal, which discussion tonight a little bit. We can touch on that too. So.
Yes, that's a good.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I've been working on. So yeah,
cool. All right, awesome. How about you, Rusty? Well, actually, what did you have something else there, Dan?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do some painting.
It sounds like from the audience here that people are really looking forward to Rusty's update.
It was wild.
Very much. I'll be here all night. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pasta taters. Yeah, I got a game in last week. A couple of individuals that were supposed to be playing Thursday last week got sick and didn't show up. So we sort of had a small game. Instead of a big game, we did a smaller game. Condensed it down. Clans versus Mercs.
Oh.
If you watch the video, it didn't go so well. It was bad.
Oh no.
Yeah. They set up a mission, and I was supposed to go in. It ended up being an ambush from water.
Okay.
And they stood in water, and I was coming up to blast them. And every time I shot, I'd hit water.
But actually, that keeps you. If I remember, for my limited playing of BattleTech, being in the water keeps you cool.
Yeah, it keeps you cool. Because any heat sinks you have are doubled in your legs, and
oh really?
And if you roll a 5 or a 9 when you go to shoot at or hit them, when you hit them, it hits the water and it's like dissipates. So, yeah. I had one blast where I shot 9 times. It hit somebody 9 times, and 5 of them hit the water. Like, seriously? What?
So, dice abandoned you, huh?
Well, I was hitting. It's just that if they weren't in the water, I would have blown legs off. That's what put it that way.
I gotcha.
By the way, Wolfgang has joined the chat too. Hey, Wolfgang, thanks for joining us in the chat tonight. Wolfgang War Journal.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me how you did all the sound effects.
Yeah.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't hold anything back.
Yeah. Nah. Boy, does.
Anyways.
Oh my.
Oh boy, here we go.
Like, Rusty's getting a little nervous here. You're doing okay there, Rusty.
I do. This sounds
anyways.
like blood. Follow me.
Yeah.
So that was my game last week, and did work on some miniatures. Got this little guy. I was working on the last show.
In here.
Got the old hammer hand finished up.
Oh yeah.
Oh nice.
Cool.
So,
yeah. I like the
Warhammer, but he's the hammer hand. He's like the predecessor to the Warhammer.
Yeah.
In a very Eldar paint scheme.
Gonna drop the hammer.
Yeah. Definitely has the Beltan look.
Yeah.
I wonder where I got that look from.
Does it have a red accents? Like, do you do red accents yeah,
it's like the cockpits are reddish orange, and then I put weapon pods and stuff. I put red in them to
cool
danger, missiles here type of thing.
Yeah,
cool,
nice.
So lets people know that that's going on. I did been working on my dwarves. You can't really see them; they're so small.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
So I've been working on them. I got the leather on most of them done, but I'm gonna do a little bit more tonight. I got to finish some beards and stuff, and then I put on the blue because obviously you got to have some contrasting with the worms. Got the cold blue to go with it.
So what unit? What are you working on? What unit?
They're just dwarven warriors.
Oh,
just your box standard dwarven warrior.
You never have too many of those, right?
Yeah, they're the cheapest dudes hit the battlefield.
Well, and I know you guys are still doing the normal original rules, but you're going to notice that infantry got a lot better as you move through to the recent updates. And that's actually a big deal, like, because one of the problems that people really had with the game initially was the fact that infantry just seemed like it had no purpose. Like, now, when you take objectives, like, you really want to do it with infantry. Like, it's infantry based, to take objectives, but also they're much more survivable with the new rules. Like, yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay.
The nice thing is when they do make another edition, they'll likely carry that over. Because it was just, it was just hard to take normal rank and flank blocks. Like, we're not doing well. But Anyway,
Yeah,
so the Dwarven
and,
Warriors are actually good. Cheap infantry unit is quite good in number, like when you get the numbers.
yeah, you think about going back to the days when there was hero hammer and infantry units were just something that you hope that would slow down a hero long enough to
Yeah, there's speed
maneuver
bumps.
around it.
Yeah.
Because the hero just go and go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, they're. Oh, you're scratching my armor. Go away.
Gnats.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's pretty much it. I still have my Anvil of Doom.
Yeah.
It's got more blue on it, but I got it.
Cool. Yeah, that's always a fun model.
Mm-hmm. You doing a musty drink tonight, or?
Oh yeah.
Getting thirsty.
We did mention BattleTech once. Oh, there you go.
I know. Yeah.
Glen Moraine.
Oh, you're getting low. Dangerously low.
Oh, I got another bottle.
Oh,
It's not. It's like they make more.
Yeah, I know, but.
And the nice thing is that have you seen my cabinet upstairs?
Yeah,
if I ran
it is
low, I've been drinking too much.
It is that thing is stacked deep.
Yeah, I was just telling my friend today, I was helping out because I had to run down to Cruston and move some more radio stuff today.
Oh, cool.
And I was telling him, it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, I got it. My wife was telling me that, oh, you got to do something about all your bottles because you have so many bottles just sitting right here of scotch. And I was like, yeah, maybe if I had a cabinet to put it in. So we got a China hutch to put the stuff in. And it was like, I brought it all out and filled it up. And she was like, I thought that would just leave some room for other stuff. And I'm like, no, that's just for the scotch.
That's not the whiskey or not the rye or not the. It's just the scotch.
Jeez.
It's not the bourbon.
Oh man, disappointment.
You got it's like you drink a lot. And like, no, I don't drink a lot. I just like flavor. It's like occasionally I like something different tasting. So that's why I have different scotches.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's the important thing. Variety.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to start. Oh, go ahead.
No, nothing. I'm good.
I'm going to start with my musty drink, just because.
Are you going to finish that tonight?
Well, actually, you don't. I'm doing a bit of a cocktail tonight, actually.
Oh,
boy. It's St. Patty's week, right? Or at least it was St. Patty's Day earlier. So I've got one of these guys.
Yeah.
And I've never done this before, but I'm doing a Boilermaker with Jameson in my Guinness, which
okay.
Which you guys are like, oh no, it's gonna be one of those nights with Palmer tonight.
Oh gosh,
here we go.
Like we've been here before.
We're gonna need a chaperone at the Palmer residence.
Don't let him have the control. Like, oh wait, he is in control tonight. Dang,
that's right. We're like in the plane with him at the wheel. And so so while I make this up, that's kind of what I'm having here.
So what? It's just Guinness and Jameson.
Just straight up Guinness and Jameson. Some people do one that actually has Bailey's in it as well.
Oh yeah.
And but I'm don't actually have any Bailey's, and
you already got the Jameson in there.
Yeah, I got the Jameson in there. I wasn't gonna do the shot glass drop into it. You know what I'm talking about? Because I didn't want to have that thing knowing me come back on me as I'm drinking it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That looked like you just spilt a whole bunch of stuff all over the table.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess for me, it's funny because you guys were talking about like people not going to games or like having some plans change, like with games. I had the same thing happen. I did something. I have a buddy that I've been gaming with since 2011 or 2012. And I actually made plans to game with him at my house, and I totally forgot. Which is like in the whole time that I known him, I had a really kind of busy week, and I had some things happen like with my family and stuff this week that kind of just totally took me out of the zone of thinking about anything else. Mm-hmm. And so he just I was sitting there on my phone, and he texts me and he's like, "So are we good to play in an hour?" And because normally like the day before, like we'll mention it, like oh yeah, like we're still good tomorrow, right? And I was like, oh my god, I was like, I'm so sorry, like but what I did is because I really wasn't ready to host a game that day since I didn't have any preparation and I had like family stuff going on at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is we actually just went out and we went to the game store and just walked around the store and hung out and then went for a coffee. And so it was fine. Like, you know, we had a good time. Like we just like went through the store looking at game and stuff. And I've told you guys about the Century Box before, but it's just a huge place here. And so it was just fun. Like it's 2 floors, right? We were up in the historical section looking at stuff too. And so, yeah, like I did that. But then on Monday, I did have a game of Adeptus Titanicus, and that was fun. So I really enjoyed that. I really loved that game. And so really glad I got into it. And so, yeah, I played that. And but one thing I will say is for the same reasons that I probably forgot about the game is I have done very little since the last show, actually, as far as painting and stuff. And so, yeah, it's been like a really dry spell for hobby time recently. I've kind of picked it up a little bit, and I'm still working on that Warlord from the last show. And so tonight I'm just going to put over all the metallics and Nuln Oil. And then I was thinking that when I get through that, I might just work on this house a bit that I was working on and just get the white part that I always do here, like or it's really shop deep bone, you know, I use from GW, but sort of panels that I do white, I'm just going to start painting those. So that's kind of what I'm doing for that. And that's really mostly it as far as gaming and hobby. I don't have another game scheduled for next week, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
I gotta
that I
look
recall.
at my calendar. You know, I should take a sip of this for the Battletech we've said already, and just see how the Jameson tastes in it.
There you go.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why they do it.
You definitely don't lose the Guinness flavor because I really like Guinness, the flavor. But you definitely get like this hint of Jameson in the background as you're drinking it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's not bad. I guess that makes sense, right?
Yeah,
yeah, that was the idea, I think.
Exactly.
I say I do like my Guinness, but usually it's with a meal.
Oh, right. Let's see here. Oh, what happened there? Okay. So why don't we take a look at the comments real quick?
Like a couple.
Yeah. So Chris just jumped in early, saying he's out on his evening walk and listening, and says that his ears are ringing, probably from what was going on there for a moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, not too many comments here. We got Wolfgang here. He says, somebody got a soundboard. And that he's working on some gnomes, garden gnomes.
Garden gnomes.
What tonight? I guess the topic that we have as our main topic is materials that people prefer their miniatures and terrain made out of. So, you know, both terrain and miniatures. Lots of different options of materials that they can be made out of, and sometimes there's different reasons why you like one versus the other. We mostly talked about when discussing this topic. We mostly talk about how we like our miniatures. I would say much more so in the past, rather than discussing the types of terrain and the construction and which ones we like. But I thought it might be interesting to kind of revisit it in general, but then also just maybe talk about it in the context of different applications, meaning like not just miniatures and what you prefer. And so,
I like it.
So I'm not sure if you could hear, but I said, Dan, would you like to take the honors and go first?
Oh, no, I didn't hear you.
You couldn't hear me over that.
I was waiting for the gong to die down. I'll go first.
Okay.
You want miniatures and terrain at the same time, or are we doing one first?
I'd say let's do miniatures and terrain.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, on miniatures, still my favorite, and I was thinking about this. I'm like, why is that? And I'm not 100% sure I can even decide why, but I like metal the best. And I don't know if some of it is a little bit nostalgia maybe too, because the very first miniatures I ever had, were metal. You get the raw Partha metals or Grenadier. You could get those mail order before I kind of found out about Games Workshop, and they were all, lead or pewter mix or whatever. So I think some of it is that. I do like the weight of it. People say that, and it's real for me. I like it feels substantial. I like that. I also like the fact that it feels like it's going to be around forever. Long after I'm long gone. Somebody could, they're sturdy, and whether somebody wanted to strip them and repaint them, you could do that on plastic miniatures or maybe resin. I don't know. But metal ones, no doubt, there's a million different substances you can use to strip the paint and start the brand new fresh, and it's as good as it was the day it came out of the blister or whatever. So I like that. And some people don't, because I do like to do customizations and head swaps and things, and it is harder on metal miniatures, but I once you learn some of the things you can do, I've got a jeweler's hacksaw that I can use to, like, when I do decapitate, I use that. Yeah. Make a really nice clean straight cut and a pin vise to pin, and and you can do some bending. I like that. So yeah, I can do the things I like to do. Maybe on the much larger models, it is more challenging to pin those, like a dragon or a, but in general, metal's first, and then I guess second would be multi-part plastic.
Okay.
Plastic, and then after that would be just plastic, the monopose plastic or whatever. Yeah. But because that is one. There is really no other way to get a good multi-part with, you can do it with resin too, but metal not so much. You can't have little tiny things you're gluing together as much. But I do, and then you can completely kit bash with plastics, and a lot of times mix kits across a company's range, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then price wise, you can't really beat usually the price of a box of 30 or whatever plastic multi-part miniatures is. If you want to bulk out a large force or something, that's hard to beat. But they're not quite as sturdy. And then I've bought a few plastic, even like the old Bretonian monopose archers, and they're tougher to strip. And then you do have to be a little careful what you use, because someone will interact with the plastics.
Right.
So there is that, but they are extremely easy to kit bash, which is kind of fun. But it seems like to me also, you don't have typically in the plastic, they don't quite have the detail and by detail I mean like the depth of the contours. A lot of times the faces are a little bit softer. You got to use a little bit of imagination, kind of.
Yeah.
Some
are definitely better than others.
Yeah, some are better than others, 100%, and some are quite poor. But yeah, so I do like the flexibility that the multi-part plastics do. But it's funny, you pick up a tray or whatever of a plastic unit, and it just feels weird. It's like they don't weigh as much, and then they, boy, if you step on one, or they're just more fragile, or if you leave them in the car when it's 115 in there,
Yeah, you get a slaggy heat.
I've seen pictures of what that does. So little things like that. And for me, my least favorite is resin. I've never quite come around to resin miniatures. I don't have a 3D printer, and so even like that kind of resin, I don't know. I've ordered some like somebody off from Etsy or something, or just different places, like a single miniature that like I really thought was cool, would fit in with either my Bretonians or my World War II, and just about every time I was like, man, they're just brittle. They're just brittle.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if I had my own printer and it'd be like not such a big deal, you could print up a couple extras, or if one broke, you'd print another one, which I know there's a limit to what you could do with that. I mean,
And
because
the bendy resin, you can actually do miniatures into. Like if you're worried about your staff, like you can literally bend it. They'll just.
yeah, and I know, and so that's why I know there's a lot. It's come a long way, and there's lots of options, and I know some people, if you watch some videos, they mix a couple of resins together, and then it has a little bit also to do with the curing process, how a lot of things you can do to really make them quite durable. And so, but it's just another thing. And then I always wondered too, like, won't matter probably in my lifetime, but does the resin kind of start to break down? Just get brittle, whether through temperatures or over time, or sunlight exposure, or just a chemical process over time. Do they get kind of brittle? Because I know, like plastics and things like that'll do that. So
Sure, yeah.
So so that's kind of just because there's more. I don't know enough about it, and I don't have enough confidence in what that is. So I do kind of avoid resin miniatures. Not like I do like resin vehicles, like my World War II. That's my favorite. So go figure that. Talk about a contradiction, but I do really,
and that's kind of getting almost towards terrain, like when you think about it.
Exactly, which we can discuss that when I get into the terrain. But
even though it's not terrain, it is the same principles.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of the same reasons my thoughts on terrain are the way they are. But I do like the. I've got several companies I get there, and even I've gotten them from Warlord Games. I like Trenchworks does beautiful, and these are not 3D printed resin; these are poured resin, which I don't know if there's a difference. As far
probably is.
Yeah, there is a difference.
Okay, and I that my favorite are the old poured resin ones you can get. The detail is gorgeous, and of course then you can avoid any chance of layer lines. It's not a thing. And I've had good luck with those being super sturdy. They're almost like sometimes where there's like flashing, you can just like cut it with your knife. And if something's a little warped, I'll like sometimes you glue the tracks on the side of the tank. They're separate, the tracks, and it'll be a little bit warped, and you clean it up, and then I can put it in a thing of hot water, and it just softens it up enough that you can then bend, straighten it right out. And I like that. But yeah, for me, metal miniatures, it might just be my age, might be nostalgia, because I don't think it is just being snooty or just I can't look at other options, because I do like the multi-part plastics too. But something about the metal miniatures I just really like. I like the heft of them. It feels more like a piece of it'll be around forever. It just feels more permanent, I guess. Maybe that's the word.
Right.
But, yep.
So other than lead rot.
Yeah, which they don't use lead anymore though, and you just about don't have that.
True.
But yeah, lead rot was a real thing.
But it's hard because a lot of the miniatures that we like, when we go back really far, they can be subjected to it.
Yeah, for sure. 80s miniatures are. I know was about 93 or 90, somewhere in there. Even Raw Partha went to their what they called Ralidium for raw, or it's raw Lydium, like for Raw Partha, and that was their
Ralidium.
Yeah, Ralidium. Yep. And somewhere around 95, I think I Googled 95 or 6 was when basically Games Workshop went completely away from, they went with their own metal alloy that was not lead free. But yeah, and of course the lead ones were so soft, the real true lead miniatures are, they are bendy as all get out. They're like rubbery almost.
Yeah,
they are.
But yeah, I really like my metal minis. So yeah. I'm gonna take my toys and go home then.
Don't make me get out the pitchforks and torches.
But to each their own. That's always my last. It is at the end of the day a hobby, and I'm just saying it's my personal opinions.
Yep.
Not making grandiose statements.
Rusty,
Oh,
what
yeah.
are your thoughts on this subject, sir?
Well, I got some thoughts. After
right.
all my 30-something years of gaming.
You wanna
Heck, I
share
have to
'em?
think back is like 40-something years of miniatures. Dang, it's been that long. So I got my first miniatures in 81. Dang.
Yeah, I was probably about 85 or
Yeah, the Grenadier.
yeah.
Models.
Grenadier.
I've got
Is
some
it
right here. The Grenadier Warrior set was one of the ones I got.
Yeah. I had the Grenadier Adventure sets,
Yep,
for playing
that's what-
D&D.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's what I had. I had the fighters or whatever adventure set.
yeah. All kinds of fun. I still use some of them were in the using for my orcs and goblins. So
Mhm.
That's cool. I can't use them with my Bretonians. They're just a little bit too small. I mean, they're
well,
really true 25s, at least the set I've got.
well, when you look at it, a true 25 is just a very let's say 6 foot me versus standing next to Palmer. I look big. So
No, and I know, and I can get into that thinking too. The worst part is those. When you put it next to it,
you want
They
everything
just-
uniform, man.
they're even their sword. He looks like it looks like a kid, like he's got a short sword. It doesn't. I've got one right up here, and if I put it next to even the 5th edition Bretonian Knights, they're just so tiny. But yeah,
Hobbits have to have somebody that
Yeah.
looks big. Okay.
right,
Oh.
right on.
Oh yeah. Come to your defense, one way or the other.
There you go.
All right. So, what do I think? Metal. Well, we got our options. We got all, like you brought up all the different kind of options that we have. My preference would be metal miniatures first, but I have to preface this in: do I have to put the darn things together? Which is
Yeah.
why I am loving the 3D models, 3D printed models when it comes to BattleTech. I just print them off in one piece.
Mm-hmm.
Is putting together a metal miniature, I hate it. Yeah, just too much work. But yeah, it's like I do enjoy if you get the monopose like a lot of our go back in the days, almost everything you had was monopose because they didn't when they spin cast stuff up, it's going to be monopose, and that left a lasting impression on me because there's not a lot of work. You just clean off the flash, get rid of the sprue gates, put them in a Bathkins wash, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And I like the ease of that when it comes to metal miniatures. Now, I do like plastics. Over the years, I've seen plastics really change. Because I remember in the beginning when used to get a lot of plastic miniatures, they were kind of this funky stuff. You did have to use super glue, and it was weird. You remember any of the old Games Workshop plastics?
Yeah.
How far back? How old?
How far back? Yeah.
You're talking 80, late 80s, early 90s. Those plastics that they had.
Yeah, I got some of the old skeletons, which would have been like 4th edition skeletons.
Yeah, exactly. They're the white kind of.
Yeah, white white. Yeah, white plastic.
It seemed like that plastic seemed to degrade to some point.
Okay.
And you had to use super glue to put it together. Plastic glue does not work with it. So I don't know what material they were using for that. So in the beginning, I wasn't too big of a fan of the plastic models because that was kind of like
That makes sense.
skewing my opinion of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came out with what was it? The first box set for fantasy. And
Oh, the 4th edition set that
yeah, with
had
the
all
elves and the
plastic.
goblins.
Yeah.
And then that was when it's like, oh man, this plastic's good. All right. And ever since then, I was like, I'm a big fan of plastic.
Yeah, the 5th edition plastic, that's nice plastic to work with. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can cut it. You can use plastic glue. You can manipulate things. I always like doing is like, in some ways, when you're putting the models together, basically you had, the kind of this was about it. A little bit of action sometimes with the arm.
Yeah.
But you could like cut off at an elbow, cut it.
Keep
There
going.
you go. That's all.
That's 6 foot Rusty next to Small Bomber.
Well, you don't see he's standing on the
Must be
booth.
standing on a box, Palmer.
Exactly.
You need a box down there.
Now don't ask me how to change this. Or
Now you're done.
anyways.
No, that looked familiar because that's my house.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Keep going.
So, and that's the lamp that's right there. You can't see it because I got the thing adjusted. The light coming from right here down this way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there has been a progression in plastics. Now, when it comes to plastics now from Games Workshop, they gone too far.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it and you're assembling something, and it's like, oh, put these 5, 6, 10 pieces together to make one model, and it's just a rank and file type of model. You haven't really seen it too much, Dan, when it comes to fantasy, because they're bringing back the old.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The old models, but if you put something together like from 40K of that nature, it's like 1,000 different pieces.
Oh.
And if you do anything with the plastic with Age of Sigmar, it's like, it's sensory overload. Why do I need these many things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, you can go too far into the weeds with that. But when it comes to resins, I do have a lot of resin models, but they're the pour type of resin, which is a lot different from the 3D printing resin.
Okay.
So like fine cast?
Yeah. Well, it's not even fine cast. It's the fine cast is a different kind of resin altogether too.
Yeah.
You look at all the dystopian wars and the models what you get with bolt action.
Mm-hmm.
Those resin models, those are poured cast type because they have a mold. They pour the resin in, and then they kind of vibrate it and to get the air bubbles out. Sometimes they even put it, I think, into a vacuum tank to get the bubbles to come out too.
Okay.
Depends on how elaborate they want to go with it, but that is a totally different. It's what they call aluminolite, I think it's called, is the name of the resin type style.
Okay.
It's a different kind of compound. It's pretty durable. It will shatter if you really drop it, but
just while you're talking about that Warlord resin, Mark just reached out to me this week end of last week, I guess, and he'd gotten some. He placed an order with Warlord Games for some World War II miniatures because it was the end of the month of February. You had to order to get the miniature of the month, which was a cool sniper from Enemy at the Gates. Anyway, it's cool model. But anyway, he got that and it was good. But he said that he got 2 American winter things. And he said, half of the guns were either broke off or one of them he said was like in a complete curly Q, like it was completely twisted in a spring. And so he contacted them and they'd replace them. So he said they just came this week then, and which he was really happy with. But he said half of those rifles were broken too.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So he's kind of bummed. He was like, man, $90 worth of miniatures, and half of one of them was like a rifle grenade, and he said that one was broke off. So it was he was kind of bummed. But anyway, sorry, another thing because him and I were talking, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not going to order them if they're not metal or plastic, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some of that might be that they're trying to pump out stuff so fast that their quality control is kind of lacking. They're not really paying attention.
Yeah, because usually their quality control is really good. They always have that tag in there that has the name of the person that packed packed that package of miniatures.
Well, that's kind of telling me from my experience is that when they're taking the resin out of the molds, it hasn't quite set yet. So that's why you're getting that bend in it, because they put it into the box or something, and it's other stuff, the weight of everything, it makes it.
That's what Mark was wondering, because he said he wondered if they weren't maybe fine when they packaged it, but it wasn't. Then whatever happened to it on that next leg of its journey is when that happened.
You think they know about that though, because they do this enough. So you think they know that that's a risk,
and how much heat was involved in the shipping,
right? Unless that they've, changed their process a little bit, because they've been doing that Warlord resin for a couple of years at least, maybe like 3 years. It's been a minute. So maybe they're changing the process. They're trying to, like Rusty said, maybe try to rush it a little bit more, or do more with less, or or something.
Now, I've had a lot of experience with the old mold style resin, and then they'll have like guns with it, and they'll do the guns in pewter.
Oh yeah.
So if it has a barrel or anything, it'll then you just glue the things together, and it made a nice little so the main body, like when you look at the Warlord tanks, you had the main bodies resin, and you might have the tracks will be pewter. The gun barrel might be pewter.
Gun barrels pewter a lot of times. Yeah.
So that's a hybrid, which is not a problem. I don't.
No, I don't mind that. That's pretty common.
You're getting some good quality out of it.
Yeah. Right.
And it's back in the day that when they were doing the resin bodies, that makes it a price savings. Because resin really isn't all that expensive when it compared to.
It's more the labor, right? The labor of the process.
Yeah, that's where a lot of it is, because it's just like spin casting out models. You got to have paying somebody to spin cast.
Yeah.
Now a plastic model, most of the cost goes into designing, which back in the day was kind of more costly with plastics.
Well, not the plastic molds fairly expensive because it's a high pressure, right?
Yeah, it's an injection mold system.
Right.
You have to have a metal die like thing and inject it in.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's cools and then pops up, and you got your stuff that comes off the sprue. It's injected into a sprue. My dad used to work in a plastic manufacturing company, and they would make tubes for people and all that. Everything was related to plastic. They produced it all.
Oh, okay.
So he told me how it was all done back in the day.
Cool.
But yeah, that's my views on everything. If I have a choice, it would be a metal miniature that's like a monopose. And if I have to assemble anything, I kind of like the ability with plastics due to the fact that you can pose it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Now, if you got a rank and file metal models, a lot of times you look at all of our, like you, Palmer, you have a bunch of the French and Indian War stuff. We have a lot. I got a bunch of medals came out of Perry's, Perry medals, and they design them to be ranked up with each other on the basis, so they perfectly go together. But if you don't have that, if they're just got wild poses, metal models, like that was a problem we had early with a lot of Games Workshop models, was that it was hard to
rank them up.
For sure. Yeah. even when they're supposed to. Like there are certain times when you'll have a line where like night goblins, they've made mostly really good, like spears sticking up their all can be really on the base really easily, but then you got like your black orcs that sometimes, like at least the metal ones that I have, that sometimes certain ones, you can actually have a harder time with for sure.
Exactly.
So,
And orcs are probably the worst offender because they are big and bulky, usually on the base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of resin miniatures, yeah, that's kind of what I think. But basically, overall, I mean, for me, I brought some props for today's discussion, not a lot.
Okay.
But this guy here is one of a collection that I'm collecting from. Oh gosh, so it is Grenadier.
What's the name of the company? Oh gosh,
Julie Guthrie's.
Oh yeah,
Warriors. So this is a troll.
That's awesome. I love that miniature.
So
and that troll's about the size of a black orc, right?
Probably, yeah. Because actually, I mean, this is an elf from that line.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When you think about it, we talked about scale in that last discussion. Remember how we said something that can be not that much bigger can actually easily still be extremely monstrous?
Yeah.
This is a good example.
It's got an imposing figure.
This is hunched down. There's another one standing. They made him in a pair. This one's hunched. This is a hobbit. This is a hobbit.
A halfling?
Halfling. Hobbit. Yeah.
A blood.
Exactly.
Halfling.
Okay. What's this hobbit halfling? Anyways.
Like meat's back on the menu, boys.
But that works, though.
The discussion isn't which design aesthetic do we like the most.
Right.
But I like fixed metal miniatures as my favorite miniature. I think that, well, Dan, really, you talked all about like a lot of the cool things about metal miniatures, like, as far as like the heft and like there's just a value that some of us associate with the longevity of the material and like what it feels like it's just going to be around forever. Like it's not going to be something that's going to just deteriorate pretty over time, like really easily. Can be stripped and things like that. So like I, echo all of your thoughts with that. I have
it's lead rot.
True. And so, but one of the things that I would add to the conversation as we go talk about multi-part versus fixed miniatures, which relates to the discussion we've been talking about, it is that I do know that some of the recent plastic kits that I've seen have some really nice kits with poses that what I've heard people even say on their videos, and like one of these was like the recent Conflict 47 miniatures that are like similar to the bolt action miniatures for infantry, how some of the arms work better on certain torsos than others, and that you have to kind of figure it out that they don't fit equally as well. What that told me though, like they were saying that that's kind of tricky and you have to figure that out. And it was almost talked a little bit about like as a learning curve bad thing. What for me, without having those miniatures in front of me, that's a good thing. And the reason for that is my biggest problem with plastic miniatures is that in a lot of the kits, like the original bolt action US infantry for first edition, the arms are everything is held out in front of you at an angle. And like they all you have to fit the gun into where the hands are, and they all look artificial. And even some of the original plastic kits for Space Marines, when you compare them to the original metal models for Rogue Trader and the earlier editions that were fixed sculpts, they all immediately look like they're all awkward, like holding their guns. They're all like, like, like this, because you have these arms that dictate where everything has to happen. And even though you can do everything with them, they don't look natural in anything. And so my problem with multi-part models is when you don't, like, I think the recent ones have maybe now improved this over the years. But as long as I like it when you have something that looks really natural. It doesn't work on every torso. And the reason it doesn't work on every torso is that it's trying to do something very specific.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
in those models, I could be okay with it. But the reason why I've always liked fixed single cast is that they're individual sculptures. Like
Yes.
you can have the guy like holding something like this. Like you can have where the arm is part of the torso. Like you can have it where it's in this really weird pose, but it is a sculpture, like something you would see
Yep.
at any sculpture. They're doing it to, this model is not being meant to do a million different things. It's meant to do one thing, but to look really good at doing it. And then, yes, you then have to they have to sculpt another model. There's an inefficiency there, because of that. Like it's not the most efficient thing. It's more costly, but it looks hell of a lot cooler, like in my opinion. And yes, like, so when I actually do my French Indian War, like Rusty talked about, like they're all in, most of like all my regulars are in like the same position. Right. And so, but that's for the guys that are ranked up in marching. That's perfect. That's the way I want them,
Right.
And so,
Right.
but then
when they're marching like that, they were set.
They were uniform
drilled.
anyway. They were
Yeah.
drilled.
And
if
I
you
do
like,
have-
if you like that look anyway, that's fair.
Yeah. And for certain things, I absolutely do. I do like the skirmishers for the miniatures that I collect for that war, because they do have different varying poses and some decent ones, like some variety. And so you admit one thing that I totally agree that like metal can be very complicated once you start getting multi-part. But the one thing that I would just say, for me, that all of the rules have exceptions. So like with the same thing I just said before, where I think that a lot of times multi-part models can be really goofy and impractical for visuals. But then I realize I'm wrong, because I see these new ones coming out that have fixed that problem in some ways. Well, like Corvus Belli with the Infinity models that I had purchased for, let's say, 3rd edition, they're up to 5th now, were beautiful multi-part models. The only thing is those parts are not meant to be done differently. Like they're actually fixed. And so like where the arm goes in, there's a widget that fits a very exact spot. It's truly like a sculpture that's cut up to go together only one way. And so it's basically a fixed model that's being sold to you in more than one part. And so it might as well be like like a press and fit. It's, like a plastic press and fit. It's just a little bit different. And then also the Knight models for the Marvel line that I had, some of the later ones that came out were also of the same method. They were beautiful. Like they slipped in. Some of them had like a cylinder on the arm that went into like a cylinder in the body. It was just like, you couldn't get it wrong. And it was just like amazingly sculpted. And so there are some like multiple part metal models that are pretty amazing, but they're not generally the kind that where like they just give you 8 arms and slap them on and fit a gun in, and like they all look like they don't know what, they've never been trained with this gun. Clearly, when you look at the guy, he's like, what is this gun in front of me? Like my biggest problem with resin is, and I don't mean necessarily one kind. Like I have this one that I 3D printed, when I'm not really talking about the 3D printers, this is just one in front of me of the sheep that I did for Pillage. Yeah. I print resin models on my printer, and there's a value to it. Like I can get really good detail. In general, they are, of course, more vulnerable to breaking. Got this guy in front of me here. He did snap off, and I glued him. He snapped off his base. It was more of me just having him on the painting table and like doing something where I broke him. This ogre.
Okay.
Actually, I think I might have shown him on the channel before, but I've actually painted him, but he's just I'm using him for Sharp's practice. No, not Sharp's practice. Silver Bayonet. Silver Bayonet.
I was like, Sharp's practice, man. It's like you're doing a sci-fi.
Yeah. So using him for Silver Bayonet because they do have like the horror aspect in the game, and but like if I'm buying miniatures from a manufacturer that's making them, I have had issues with the fragility of resin, and plastic can have fragility too. I just find that injected molded plastic's strong, a bit tougher than the resin. One of the biggest problems that I've had with the resin, which I don't get in the 3D printed stuff, is the holes and like of the fine cast and all that stuff.
Oh, the
for the
bubble.
little
Yeah.
miniatures. Yeah, like all the imperfections.
Mhm.
And so that was always an issue. And I'm not talking about anything but miniatures here. I'm not talking about terrain yet.
Right.
Or even vehicles. Like I'll kind of leave that out because I mean we kind of surfaced on the vehicles, but I do like my bolt action resin tanks. I prefer them to the plastic kits.
Yeah.
As well.
Same.
And so I do like those as well. But yeah, so anyways, that's kind of me for the miniatures. Like we've talked about this a lot before. Like I'm also really big fan of the metal models whenever I can. Like when I think of my history of like the way I spend my money, mostly like I did just sort of, I'm limping into Conflict 47 and we're going to be doing Bolt Action 3. Don't know if I told you, Dan, that I'm officially going to be doing Bolt Action, the 3rd edition, but like coming out, it's just one of my friends that got into Conflict 47, like one of his ways of luring me into it was like, well, let's just do Bolt Action and then we'll kind of look at adding a little Conflict 47 to it. And so that'll give me the ability to paint my Germans up and to do that army. I've already got the Americans. So I bought some plastic there for miniatures, but like now that we're doing the Dark Ages, like, and Test of Honor, like I bought all metal models for Test of Honor. And then I bought like a whole Viking force, like 50 miniatures that are metal from Footsore.
Footsore.
And
That's
so,
nice.
Yeah, I like them. And so I just love the metal models for sure. Mm-hmm. But then, like you said, like when I play Saga, like I really like my like they're not like the best models that I have, like as far as the figures, but they're really nice and affordable, and they paint up good for the Gripping Beast Dark Ages, like for my like peasants and levies and warriors. Like I have warriors that are metal, but I also have a lot of plastic stuff that filled out that you know, like those ones alongside the metal, and so it serves a purpose too. For sure. So,
well, that's one of the things. Just I was going to add too that I think that's what you were kind of sort of alluding to with the multi-part plastic kits. Depending on the kit, I know I'm thinking of a couple. I won't call them out, but where it looks like they're really like what they did. They sculpted the miniatures. You know, maybe there's 5 or 8 poses, and then they just cut them up and then put them on a sprue. But they really, yes, you can put these arms on this guy, but they're really meant to go on this guy, this torso.
Yeah.
You know, they're like they made them multi-part. You think, oh, I could put them anywhere I want and really get all this variety. But it's like it looks the way the guy's legs are or something. If you put these arms on him, yes, they fit and it's the right angle and stuff, but it looks wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, you think you got all these options, but really you almost have to build them these certain ways
if you really want them to look their best.
Yeah, they're not. You feel like you know, it's not like they're just like totally sculptable. You're building a metal miniature from multi pieces of plastic, and you feel like you have freedom, but you don't. I mean, you can cut them, and some of them are better than others, but they're not infinite mix and match combinations.
Yeah, true.
So anyway,
it sounds like a certain company that produces stuff for American War of Independence.
Well, that's the worst one that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, Wargames Atlantic? Who was that? Wargames Atlantic. But that's their early stuff, right?
Yes.
It was it's not Wargames Atlantic.
Oh, it wasn't them. Okay.
No.
Well, they're the ones that Wargames Atlantic made the first bolt action AWI miniatures.
No.
Okay.
No, they didn't. It's Wargames. What the heck is it? No, it's not Wargames Atlantic. It's because Warlord Games bought them. It was. Oh, come on! Somebody in the comments tell me it's. They did some Russians. They did some, which I have. They did some the American War of Independence plastic kits that Warlord sells. It's War Games Factory. That's it.
Oh, okay. How did I get that confused?
Yeah,
are they around still?
I just didn't want to diss on War Games Atlantic because they do a nice job.
Yeah, well, and actually, I have seen their stuff. It's beautiful, and that's why I said earlier because I thought that's what it was, but maybe I got it confused. The two companies.
Yeah, it's they're no longer around, and they then Warlord Games bought their molds. And
okay.
I threw some effort. I did do a lot of just because I really got to know the kits where I could do some really cool custom builds, and I was even cutting elbows where you could, reposition. It was a lot of work, but you could get them to look really natural. But yeah, they were definitely made to be built about one way, and it was just a lot of gluing fiddly to get what should have been a one-piece plastic miniature.
Yeah, looks like we got Neil Molden in the house too. He came in about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, hey Neil.
If he's still on, hey Neil, thanks for joining in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's an interesting point. Before we go on to the other part of our topic, maybe we should do some of the comments again.
Yeah,
because we have been. Let's see here.
New things come in.
We got. Okay, I think the last one was the gnomes that Wolfgang was painting.
Yeah.
We got Simon that jumped in. I think we said hello, or at least I said hello in the comments. I don't know if I said it out loud. I apologize if I didn't. He doesn't really like pewter terrain. I would agree with that. And we're not on the terrain section yet, but that kind of jumpstarts that. That would be a weakness, I think, in most cases. He says that Palmer means business with his exclamations. Very good, very good. And so Wolfgang says layer lines are pretty much a relic of the past with today's FDM printers. That's kind of true. Yeah, I would agree with that. It is actually, they are actually so much better.
Yeah, in the early days it was really bad.
It's really bad. It's definitely, you can still sometimes find them, but it's pretty good.
Chris said he's back. He lost his connection.
First season and second season.
Oh gosh, you gotta calm down. It's not that funny.
That was some serious good stereo action in my headphones. I'm like, dang.
Okay. So, let's see.
Welcome back to season 2 of the Musty Wargamers.
I need to order the new ACW book for Musket Tomahawks. Oh yeah, I did see that had come out.
Yeah, it just came out. I did see that. I forget what it's called. Something and something. The same kind of a name.
Mm-hmm. Neil says, morning all, trying to rank up 20 dwarf slayers.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a joy though. Huh?
Yeah.
Lucky you.
It's like I have 10 dwarf slayers and that was a pain.
Simon says the taste of old lead pewter. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The taste. I never really chewed on my miniature.
Yeah.
Chris says, I'm really fond of one-piece bodies with tons of head options. That's actually a good point. Yeah, that is really good when you can have the variety, but like the body style is one piece. Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
Simon says, looking wrong is accurate to real military. There's always that one guy that will bear march. Yeah, but if you have like the whole troop looks like they're not trained, it looks kind of weird.
Yeah, a bunch of Russians. Come on, get your stuff.
Come on.
Says that's Wargames Factory, so he corrected it. I don't know what Chris was talking about here when he goes, me, I know, lots of laughs. I'm not sure what that reference was to because we weren't looking at the comments at that time. Don't know. Because Wargames Atlantic was owner of Wargames Factory before Hostile Takeover. Oh, okay.
Really? I thought Wargames Factory was their own thing. It was an American company. And from what I understood, that I have that Land of the Free game that we have, Rusty, that was those American War of Independence miniatures were designed actually to be used with that rule set. Yes.
Okay.
Because Bob, I forget what the guy that wrote the rules, when I was asking some rules questions and showing him pictures of the miniatures I was painting, he said, yeah, he knew the owner of Wargames Factory, and it kind of gotten together, and he was creating the range to be used for that rule set.
Confab together, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of a project.
Looks like we got Josh jumped in the room, but it looks like he may have had to jump out because he's out with the boy. We'll watch later with a Musty drinking a burger. Thanks for stopping in, Josh.
There you
Good
go.
to see you.
Yeah.
Simon's laughing here. I'm pretty sure it's at the sound effects for tonight.
Gotta be that.
He goes, I appreciate being filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Oh my.
All right. Let's see here. I think that's it. I think that's all we got. Oh, no, that's not true. It looks like Neil jumped in here. Yeah. The Perry ACW are my favorite plastics, especially the marching pose. Just changing the angle of the arms and different hat makes all the difference.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, Perry does a heck of a job.
Oh,
well, they're known to pretty much do well at everything they touch.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
Big fan.
Like when we were doing I need to get out my was it the Queen's Rangers I have?
Yeah.
I need to get those painted sometime. But yeah, they're nice models.
Yeah.
I always I'm trying to remember what it was I wanted of theirs. I think when I was really trying to determine what I was going to do for French Indian War, I thought maybe I considered doing using some of the ACW stuff because it was so close from Perry's. But in the end, I went with the 7-year war miniature. I went with the earlier uniform because
if you're playing French and Indian War, 7 Years War
they're basically the same. Yeah. And so I was pretty happy with the Minden, but man, they just have such beautiful sculpts.
Yeah, I have your Perry.
Yeah, I gave you my plastic Perrys for that reason.
Yep.
I was going to do them, and I was going to order the medals too, and I was going to do all that, but I kind of was in that indecisive phase at that point because I was doing Warlord games, French Indian War up until that point, and then I wanted to shift and kind of go in a different direction. But yeah, no, they have awesome miniatures though.
Yeah, and they're so affordable. I mean, they are priced competitively.
The plastics, yeah. Metals on a different hand. It's like it's
metals
you
are
make
just fine anyway.
Yeah, if you're buying some metal ones, you're like, okay, I better just bite the bullet and call it good.
Yeah, but their plastics are so affordable.
Chris says the Chinese plastic company did hostile takeover because Hudson got behind on payments. Then there was Kickstarter not fulfilling. He went bankrupt.
Okay.
So suddenly I'm flashing back to Spartan Games and their Kickstarter.
Yeah, true.
Let's do a Kickstarter, and then we just did the Kickstarter. So
Which one?
A lot of money and didn't go out of business.
Which one are you talking about? Aliens or?
Well, yeah, that killed them. But when they did the Halo stuff.
Oh, what about the Aliens? Didn't they do Aliens too?
No, was that? There was another company that was doing the Alien.
Maybe I got that mixed up. I thought that Spartan Games released the full-size ship for the Aliens, not full-size, but it was like a scale model, large craft of the landing craft or something like that. And then,
are you thinking about the ones that did Drop Zone Commander?
No, I'm not talking about them. No, but I could be wrong that it's Spartan. I thought it was though. Simon says, but he made good on the Kickstarter years later.
Okay.
Is what he said. What he's saying. And Chris says, then he started Wargame Atlantic and kept quiet. It was not till recently and said it was him, and he made good on the Kickstarter. So yeah, Chris.
Okay, well, I learned
validated
something.
Simon's comment.
Okay.
We're the same guy. Okay.
That's good to know. I didn't know that. I learned something there.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. So
thanks for sharing that information.
I don't really follow Wargaming news that much anymore, to be honest. I probably
You'd be surprised that the number of people involved in making games is pretty small, and they all know each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Mel and I learned when back in the 90s when we were putting together our game systems, and we actually have some designed models. I have them sitting right over here. I have to break them out, show them.
So Chris says it wasn't Spartan for aliens, but who did it then? Because it was a small company and they went out of business.
Oh, I think they were they a Scottish company?
You know, they were big. They weren't a big name, but they were they did other stuff. It wasn't just that. Maybe see if I can Google it real quick. I don't know. I'm going to say wargaming company that did aliens drop ship model ? Maybe the AI can help me out with this. Protos Games.
There you go. That's it.
Why did I think that was Spartan Games? Protos Games. Okay. It was nice looking. I really would have wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome looking.
Yeah, once you said the names, like, oh yeah, that's those guys. Yeah. Did they do a Kickstarter or something? I think with that.
They might have.
Yeah, that was very short lived. I thought about getting into it, and then they just up and folded. So
I showed this on the last show, but I actually showed this picture of this to my friend that I play Adeptus Titanicus with. But this is without the armor, the warlord that's the resin I've got in front of me still, and
man.
you know it's all magnetized. All this stuff's magnetized. But,
so you 3D print the base too?
Actually, this one I did. Yeah, I believe I did. This is a while ago I did this. And I actually 3D printed, this is actually FDM, this little, so this is resin, but this is FDM, this is FDM. But, I actually, I'm washing tonight this guy that I showed last time, and this is the GW one. But, I really love this model.
That is so detailed. That is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this, if you just look at the carapace on the side,
I like the 3D one more than the.
I do too.
Now, of course, he doesn't have his arms, and this piece is off of it. This piece is off of it, and so this guy, in all fairness, he's not in full assembly yet. But I do think that this is a killer model, for 3D printing. It's a killer model. And
it is amazing.
And so when we talk about when I say I hate resin, and I was talking about the small miniatures, but and this is bigger and it's multi-part, but I love this, and this came off my own 3D printer.
That's cool.
But let's see where we're at here. Just got a couple more comments, and then we'll go on to our next part of the topic. Chris just said he's a good guy. I've talked to him, and I think he means this. He was right after the Spartan. Right after he was talking about the Spartan games. It was an English company. They made Alien versus Predators Protos. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, they did a Kickstarter. I'm glad you're in the comments, Chris. Because man, he knows a lot. I mean, actually, they all do, but they all actually provide good info.
As an individual that had my own line of miniatures, these are Russian.
Let me blow that up. I didn't see you holding that up there.
Yeah, make it big.
These are Russians.
Okay.
Right.
The body is monoposed. You can see.
Okay.
And then we had a large assortment. Here's a pile of arms. Right here. There's a bunch of arms.
Okay.
And what we did was that we had probably twice as many arms and weapons designs that we had bodies. So if you could mix and match and have everything, and this is supposed to be the Spetsnaz Special Forces guys from the, we did a, what the heck is it? Conflict. We called it Conflict 2000. Mel and I did. And basically it was moderns around 2000, late 90s, 2000, after the fall of the Soviet Union and everything.
Okay.
So it was like modern war. And we were going to make a line of Americans, British, French, all the different type of troops. So you could play the Third World War.
No way.
Right.
And we did it. I was like, oh, here's one guy. He's all put together.
Oh,
Let me see.
Nice. Looks good
Yeah.
from here.
Yeah.
And
It
it
does
costs
look
us probably $150 per model to put together, to have the
The
molds.
greens made and stuff. Or
Yeah, the
molds?
greens made and then the molds, because this is all.
But how
greens.
long ago was that?
95, 96.
Okay,
somewhere in
bet you it's double that now or more.
Yeah. So you look at a squad of 10 was about $1,500 to make.
Mm,
But, that is
Wow.
the hardest part of the whole process is getting a sculptor to do it for you. And he is also the sculptor. He did, he sculpted, I think it was for Grenadier and some other companies. So he was well
Okay.
known at the time.
Brenna what?
Grenadier.
Grenaders, you know, Palmer.
And it's like, here's is this the British? This might be the British.
So what happened to the molds?
All right, that's going to be a long story here. All right, so we had the company, and then somebody came along and offered us a chunk of change to buy the company from us because they wanted the miniature lines and everything.
Okay.
And so they bought us out, and then they closed it down.
Oh man.
And the miniatures up and disappeared.
Mm.
So I had miniatures for it, and one of these days I might put it together and paint them, but
That's a bummer.
yeah, we have a feeling that they just wanted to get us off the market. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
But
I still. But the
Can
thing
you
is
make
that they
a
never
mold for you. Well, yeah.
they had the molds and everything, so we didn't get anything of that nature. But they never renewed the copyright on the rules, so that came back to me. I have the rules.
Oh.
After 20 years, congratulations, they're mine again.
Wow.
So I need to go back, and I'll be in the house all night. So, so I need to start rewriting my rules again and update them and get the copyright. Because if you look up in the Congressional Library of Congress,
Yeah.
oh, yep, there's my miniatures. It's just sitting right there. Someday I'll get them done.
Guys, you haven't painted any of them ever?
We had some painted ones. Mel had his painted ones, and I had some painted ones, but they wanted them. So, can we buy those off you so we can put them in the new rule book and everything?
But before we get too far into the next topic, Chris had a couple of interesting comments. One, he said it's probably 3 times, not double, like with the amount that greens cost now.
Yeah.
And then he says he said he worked in his industry the whole life, and I think that was towards my comment that he knows so much about this stuff. But he goes,
Yeah.
I think I know which company bought the molds.
Oh, really?
That's what he said. Yeah.
You tell.
Yeah.
Maybe he may not want to do
Yeah,
it now.
Me, big 800-pound gorilla. Because we use our what do you call it? Subsidiaries, or what the heck they call it, where they go through a different company, shell corporation or whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they buy companies out, small companies like us.
Just to get them out of there, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, well,
just a sidetrack.
Yeah, interesting. Though.
BattleTech.
He goes, need a glug 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 sound for BattleTech coming up. That'll be for the next show or the next coming up soon.
Yeah, you need something to look forward to on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. I don't know. I was trying to wondering when this one will be good.
Is it a gunshot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Man, it sounds like my house last fall, man.
Exactly.
When we had the shootout at the OK Corral next door.
anyways,
Yeah, that's something.
Well-
You show me how to do it. It'd be kind of cool when we talk about BattleTech. We have to have some gunfire.
you can import your own sounds, so that's kind of cool. They give you some that you can just use right off the bat, and then you can import some of your own. But since we're talking BattleTech, and like I made it through that Guinness and Jameson pretty well. Like I thought that was going to be, huh? Oh yeah, I finished it. Oh yeah, it's gone. It's long gone. I actually not only finished it, but I finished the rest of the can that didn't go into it too. So now I'm on to.
He never lets anything get cold around him.
I'm just working now on the regular Jameson. For the future Musty show, I think I don't know if I could show it just behind me here, but if you look right there, I'll just blow it up here.
Yeah, make it big.
This is for BattleTech drinking in the future. For BattleTech drinks, I've actually got a homebrew cider that I'm doing right there.
Oh man!
Musty. Yeah, that's that little bubbler on the top. But I'm doing a like a 10% cider. Yeah.
Cool.
Where's it at?
So, oh, sorry, Rusty.
I think it was behind his banner.
It's just right here.
Oh, I see. It's
where my thumb is.
Oh, I see your I see your bubbler. Yeah, okay.
You got Wolfgang. Yeah, journal's quote is over your.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go.
There it is.
There it is. Yep. Now I see it.
Yeah, it's right in the apple juice bottle with a bubbler on the top.
That's great.
But, yeah.
Hey, bubbler.
Well,
in Wisconsin, it's called a bubbler.
It's not that I can't afford to buy my alcohol, but it's just I kind of find it interesting to try to do some ciders and stuff.
Fun.
It is.
It's very fun to make your own because then you can experiment and come up with stuff. And sometimes, I'll be honest, there's been a few times in my career in the last 40 years, it's like, oh my God, what the hell did I create?
Yeah.
It's bad.
We used to get those wine kits and make our own wine.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a lot of fun and you learn a lot, but it wasn't particularly good wine.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I've had a couple good batches of wine I've made over the years, but mostly it's because it's a rosé. I took like 3 different grapes put together and make a nice one.
Oh, okay.
But overall, most of them, it's like somebody said, yeah, you got to distill that and make some brandy out of it instead.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people, one of the reasons I'm doing the ciders is I've heard a lot of people had a lot of good success with ciders because there's a lot you could do with them.
Yeah.
And like people will put like other fruits in them and you could sweeten them back up after you've made all the strong alcohol tastes. And, you could like, if you use good ingredients and if you actually age them a little bit, you don't have to, I guess, I don't know. I'm kind of new with it, but apparently you don't have to with some of the lower percentage ciders age too long, but you can actually get a pretty good tasting cider actually, even through homebrew. And that's kind of why I'm messing around with it a little bit.
Okay.
Cool. What do we got here? Oh, it looks like we got Sean Boogler in the house. Hey, buddy.
Hey, it's been a while.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, no, I've seen him on the Facebook page, semi-regularly. And so, no, thanks for coming in. And then Neil says, booted up Heavy Metal Pro for the first time in many a year. BattleTech bug is spreading. What is Heavy Metal Pro? I'm not familiar with that.
It's the mech building program.
Okay, because that would make sense since I don't actually.
I haven't used it since today, but
since today.
Well, it's today, but it was like 1 a.m. today.
Mm-hmm.
Preference it that way. So.
Wolfgang says, "Hop to cider for the win." All right. Well, why don't we get to our next topic here? Well, excuse me. It's the same topic, but it's just part
adjacent.
Yeah, like materials that you like for your gaming part B. And maybe I'll start this one since I did the last one last, and we'll just kind of go in reverse order.
Yeah.
I did bring props for this one. I do like, other than metal terrain, which like there might be some instances where you have pieces of terrain that were cast in metal that you add to your terrain that would be perfectly fine. But it doesn't seem, metal is my favorite thing to use for miniatures or my favorite material, but for terrain, I think it's the least practical probably. Even large miniatures where I've done like the Hulk for night models, I've had to literally put pieces together with the metal glue. I forget the name of it, but that glue. I don't have it in front of me here, but it's like I had to use a bond that was much stronger than anything you would never normally use.
Like an epoxy or a JB Weld?
JB Weld, that's the one.
Oh, really?
And,
Yeah.
like I was using stuff like JB Weld when the things are really heavy. They're not really very practical in my mind. But then when you talk about plastic resin and FDM is what I was going to say next. Like a FDM, like there's MDF too.
Filament.
Like the filament.
All right.
Like plastic kits can be really beautiful. Like some of these Games Workshop kits, like this is one that I have for 40K that I haven't done a lot of these, but I really like. I love that one together. I love this model. Like it's really great on the table, and like the details really great. I don't in general enjoy plastic terrain for some reason, like the building process as much. But it's beautiful. I mean, and it's definitely, I'm not worried about it falling apart too much. It's pretty sturdy. Some of your plastic bits like this can break and things, but then that's just part of that is like, that's going to happen with a number of things, you know, when it comes to terrain, if it's really fiddly, you know, if it's really designed that way. But like I would say, I don't tend to go this route. Like it's pretty rare. Like I think Neil did this one too. But like the church for like French Indian War, like American Civil War, there's like a church that we had both done. I forget the name of the company that did it, but there are some beautiful plastic kits that are great. I have no real problem with them, but they're not tend to the way I go, to be the way I go. This is a church that I did out of resin on my 3D printer.
I love that.
And it's solid. I love this one too. Oh, geez. I got a little chest in there too. From a
Not
game.
anymore. Yeah.
Your treasure's falling out.
That's right. It's solid. It's really solid.
Yeah.
It feels hefty. It's resin, but the way the design is, it doesn't feel flimsy. It's got that purchased resin kind of sound and
MDF or
feel.
Purchased?
Sorry?
It's MDF.
You printed it.
This is 3D printed. Like this is resin.
It's resin though, yeah.
Resin,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is resin, but it almost has that poured resin feel, even though I printed it solid on my printer, and it has like a nice solid design, like, you know, and I really love it, and so I do enjoy this kind of terrain, even though it's 3D printed. It's actually perfect. And then here's an FDM that's just came out nice, but I have an old FDM printer, and so like regarding the comment earlier about how like you don't, I think it was Wolfgang that said it, like you don't really see the lines anymore. Like this one, you will see the lines if you like. I painted this, like there is some lines on this, like it was just of the generation, but it's nice enough. It's not necessarily always my favorite, but I'm also probably not the best printer for FDM. Like I have one of the really early ones, and I've had all the struggles of like the clogging, where you get like FDM prints that are practically filled with air. Like, you know, like they're just like very non-substantial. Like they just don't feel like you've gotten all the layers like you want to. You see layers that don't print very well, and I've had the struggles, and so it's left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. I do like MDF now. Obviously, like I talked about how I like sorts of precision, and this is unpainted. It's just in the middle of working on it. But I do really like these. I like the affordability, and for certain applications, I like them. I don't find that MDF is less organic. So if you have something, the problem with it is that if you have something that you want it to look organic, it always looks a little bit fake. Like I love these for bolt action. I have a couple of these already done.
Yeah.
These are the foreground. They're pre-painted.
Yeah.
I love these, but they do not look the most realistic sometimes. They look slightly cartoonish. Like even the brick walls are like painted on brick walls versus textured if it was like printed, like 3D printed, you know, or a plastic model. And so I love MDF. I mean, I think it has its purpose and it serves a function. Sometimes they can look really great, but I don't know in the end if they're the best to me. I still buy them and I still use them. Whatever game I decide to use these things for, whatever I choose, I tend to just stick with. So this way it's consistent.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I don't have like too many MDFs next to textured, sculpted kind of things. And so for me, I kind of like resin for terrain the most. And then it's sort of a mixture ahead. It's kind of a toss up between plastic and MDF, I would say. I've kind of moved away from the filament, although I do have some really nice ones. I just think I'd have to get a better printer if I was to actually go back into doing a lot of filament printing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of my take on like my choice of materials. I don't know. So it's the opposite for miniatures, because I actually like that resin the least for like little miniatures, but I actually like it quite a bit for terrain.
Do you have a preference over? You don't care if it's 3D printed resin or if it's poured resin? I mean, do you care
For terrain?
Yeah, for terrain, right?
Not when it's done, like not when it's actually done at a large scale.
Okay.
Because I actually find that like 3D printing's come a long way with the machines, and at a large scale, that it comes out really, really nice. And to be honest, with the poured resin, sometimes you get like such large flashing that you have to cut off that you can almost deform the model sometimes. And
yeah,
so,
or air bubbles. That's the other thing you can get in poured resin.
Yeah. So they both have their positives and negatives, right? And I think they both
Right.
can be really great.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I don't have a strong preference on that.
For different eras or different terrain, do you have preferences? Does that change your answer or not? Like if you're doing French and Indian War, or if you're doing 40K, science fiction, does that matter?
There are some eras. I think it goes a little bit back to what I was saying, in that sometimes certain eras require a certain look that you want to be a bit more organic, and where that happens, I find a more sculpted terrain, which I define as maybe like a process that is like the 3D printed resin or a plastic injection mold, where you can get, it's not so flat and two-dimensional. You really want to go towards that, in my opinion, in my personal preference. Like I really like, because the Japanese houses are so linear, I really love the way they look with the MDF. But then at the same time, I think that you could get Japanese houses on the other two that would look really well, good as well. I just think that this is like an application where MDF can do really well. And look, like I think that this is more suitable for MDF than, let's say, my World War II that I just showed. I'm still using all that stuff for my World War II stuff, like, because I own it. But I find that where you're trying to simulate brick, like, and things like that with MDF, it just doesn't. It just has like limitations, that are not the same. And so that's kind of what I would say. Like, and like when I'm thinking about castles and stuff, like. Like I'm thinking about stuff that can do this, where it's like you can just see the rocks, like, and all that stuff.
Texture.
You can touch them, like, and it just, you can get, what is it, SMR, where you can kind of get into it, like where you're just like running your hands along it, and you're like, man, I've got a castle. Yes.
He's filling up his terrain again.
Might be the Guinness talking.
Anyways, that's me on that kind of, at least the terrain piece. When talking about terrain, we could talk about gaming mats or gaming surfaces afterwards if you like. We could that because we said everything, right? And so like Rusty, I think we were going counterclockwise this time. What are your thoughts on the subject?
As someone that's has lots of different type of terrain over the decades, most of the early stuff was poured resin. Occasionally, it's like you're talking about the smaller stuff that would have been pewter or lead cast, but those were small pieces that you would put, like, hey, that's a wagon wheel, or that kind of stuff. But most of it, it's like I have some buildings that are fairly large, and they were all poured cast, and then each piece was poured, and you had to glue them together to make them into larger. and that worked out fairly decently. I like that. That was, that's what you had. And then I remember when they come in and they got all the, laser cut stuff here. It's like here's, like this stuff right here, Phalanx Consortium terrain pieces, all that kind of stuff that you put together, pop it.
Oh
out.
yeah. It's just laser cut, but no, there's no like texture burnt in or.
Yeah, there's not much texture at all.
Yeah,
you can see with the piece like there, and they did have some metal accents and stuff that you glue on.
Okay, give it a little more 3D.
Yeah, so you had some of that going on, and that's a lot of stuff I would use for like BattleTech and everything when we were still using the board, playing as a board game for a lot of different people. I do have the same stuff up there. I do have a piece. We got the same Nova piece. Was it Nova Studios out of Colorado?
Nova's Design Studio,
yeah,
which he's no more.
Yeah, I have some other pieces I still have. I got the big bridge.
28
mil bridge. I got to finish that. That's gonna look cool.
Yeah, I've got one of the pieces here on my Stalingrad table from him, the Novus Design Studio.
That was what the factory.
Yeah, he was out in Boulder, Colorado. I got some walls from him right here that I have on my church for Normandy, and I got lots of different accent things, and that was poured resin.
Yeah, and it was a different kind of resin too. It almost felt softer kind of.
Yeah, like you could carve on it even. It was very sturdy and was flexible. It wasn't brittle, and you could, like you said, softer. You could shape it with a knife. He did have a fair amount of air bubbles sometimes, but they're not terribly hard to deal with once you learn how to do that.
And some of that is like I look at some of the buildings, if it's going to be for a bolt action table,
bullet holes.
Just bullet holes.
Yeah, I did some of that too on this one. Yeah,
you just accent that it's like it's kind of splatter looking.
Put a wash on it, and it kind of it looks good.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
and then I have some more laser cut stuff, and they put the laser cut like the brickwork into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up doing was like putting a piece of tape over where the brickwork was, all the different areas, and then I sprayed the spackle type paint over top to give it a cool textured surface.
And then pull that tape off, and
then pull the tape off. Then it's like the spackle fell off the outside, and then you see the brickwork underneath where they put the building in, and it made kind of an interesting look to it. But like Palmer said, it's missing something to it. If it wasn't till the point, it was like I look at it like, man, this just doesn't look good. And that's where I sprayed it with the texture paint. And it was like, okay. And then I could.
That helps. Yeah.
And it's like, now I feel like there's something there. It gives it kind of more of a 3D look. Yeah. And that's the problem you have with a lot of the laser cut stuff. It's just 2D. It felt 2D to you.
Even though it is 3-dimensional in our world, it seems 2D. Yeah. Because it's made as 2-dimensional. I mean, it does come off 2-dimensional. Yeah. Like off the laser cutter.
Yeah.
But it was a cheap option. If I remember Foreground, it's like, man, it was one time when I wanted to build a Normandy set. I was like, man, if I spent $200 on this terrain, I could have streets and buildings and everything. And then after looking at it for a while, it's like, it's missing something. I just need to.
And not to interrupt you, Rusty, but like with that point, my Marvel terrain, I used all laser cut. Yeah. But I was emulating the Spider-Man 1968 cartoon, and I actually kind of like the fact that it looks 2D. Like, because like I'm
that's
actually, even though there's 3D miniatures, like and they're actual miniatures for both. The original Night model for comic game, but now what I use it for Crisis Protocol, it actually has that like Spider-Man cartoon feel because it's like 2-dimensional, and so sometimes it can be just fine. It could actually even be what you exactly
better
want.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, it depends on what you want,
Right.
So that's one thing I always. It's like you said, it has its purpose, but when you want to. I like envision like Dan, when you have your Normandy set sitting out there, and you were sharing the videos of it, and it's like, you know what? That just doesn't look good enough. It's like, you see your Normandy set, and you're like, I want more texture to it. I want it gritty looking.
Yeah.
And if you watch Band of Brothers, and you're like, I want that.
Yeah, I want that on my table. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just don't want your miniatures toppled over with all the brick piles.
Yes.
You need to be able to still put them on the ground.
Medic.
Yeah.
And you go back in the day, back in the 90s, well, Mel still does it every once in a while, but he had his own line of terrain, shell craters and rubble and all that stuff. I have a bunch of it sitting over here. One of these days I'll get it out, but it looks pretty cool. It's like it has all kinds of bricks and everything, and it does have texture and it looks good. And he poured it into a mold, and so you had that. But now, last year, I spent 3 months building my cityscape, which could be used for fantasy, could be used for any type of North European style inner city, for that matter.
Right.
Do you actually have a terrain table that's better than that? Because I actually think that is really a nice one.
Yeah.
As far as the amount that you printed and the amount of buildings. And
that actually, is extensive. That's enough for.
Do you have anything that you could comparable
for that? That's I don't have anything in comparison. That's the epitome.
Yeah,
I do have files where I can build like a Eastern European style, like Poland and Russia. I have some of those type of buildings I could print off eventually. But
in the old days, the amount of money you'd have to spend to get a table like that would be just incredible.
Oh yeah, you go back. I remember there was a company that would do that. They actually poured it, and they could paint it for you, and it was like $200 per piece. It was like a piece I did, one piece. That was like $200, $300.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, I need this one," and they'll buy it. And it's like they would buy a piece for their table. And you always heard about someone who's like, "Oh, I got all that." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Or like Dwarven Forge for D&D. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
That was all poured resin, I think, originally. Like that's before 3D printers, they were around. And are they even around anymore? Because with 3D printing, for them to be around, they would have.
Yeah, Dwarven Forges. I've been getting ads popping up on YouTube.
They're still around. Okay.
Yeah, they're doing another Kickstarter, I think.
But it was all non 3D printed originally.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing. How they're doing it now. If it's 3D printed or what, or resin.
It was all custom originally. It was all like poured and then painted by them. I think in most cases, maybe I'm wrong. I think it was, and then so they had painters and everybody. But
I think I put probably $150 of resin into building that cityscape last year.
Wow.
Okay.
That's how much.
When you think about it, that's to be honest, the biggest expense was your time. The biggest expense was your time. Like nobody actually people that don't do the 3D printing, they don't actually appreciate not only your time that goes into it, because you think that you just set it and forget it and whatever, but not only is there time involved, because there's a lot of prep and washing when you're done and preparing and everything, but also they don't account for the amount of mistakes that happen and the amount of stuff you got to go through to get to that point. It's just like the airbrushing too. I find people think airbrushing so easy, but then when they try it, a lot of people just give it up because they get clog airbrushes and they just have trouble and they just stop because there's actually a lot of work involved, in being good at it, it's kind of similar in that way. A lot of people don't appreciate that. And, but yeah, no. So it takes a lot of work, to even put a table like that, with the 150 that you were saying, you did a lot of hours.
It would take some of those pieces I printed off for 17 hours for one.
Wow.
But also it's just all of the trial and error and all the
setting, putting the program in there and then the curing and
setting it up. And it's we're talking one piece, and there are times it's it would use almost the full height of my printer to go up to the top for the piece to be done.
Wow.
And I would go halfway in and go glug, 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 fill up the the thing again. It's like,
Oh,
because
no,
it
no.
was using the entire vat, and I had to add another vat full of resin into it just to make sure it was finished. And otherwise, you end up with a pile of rubble. You know, he's like, okay, it's like there's a few pieces. It's like, man, it got you're halfway through, and something would jack up with the print. You know, like, well, that's rubble. And it's you've seen where I had piles of rubble I made out of it too.
Mm-hmm. You
and that's
still
what
use
happened. And some of the buildings would like half of it be done, and all of a sudden, just before it'd be finished, and it was like, like, well, I'll just put some green stuff in there and fill at the top, and the top of the building was like wood, and it burned down. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Works, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about terrain. It's like
salvage it. Yeah,
you can salvage anything that's messed up.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. Yeah,
it is usable with a 3D printer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of you kind of reminded me of that. And actually, funny enough, my daughter did. Like, my daughter's not into wargaming at all, but like those things I did for Adeptus Titanicus, like the actual like fuel depots that I had like some failed 3D prints, and my daughter's just like. I was like, oh yeah, I threw them in the garbage. Actually, they're in the garbage in my hobby room. And in my hobby room, I play video games with one of my daughters. We play FTL and stuff. And she's like, oh, like, couldn't you just turn those into like damage stuff? Like, she doesn't even do wargaming. She's like, why are you throwing those away? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And
you're just like, man, this is just all that time's wasted.
I was mad.
You can salvage that. That's usable.
Yeah, I was mad, right? And so I threw them away, and then she's like, couldn't you use those? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I grabbed them out of the garbage.
No, that's great.
But also, you've talked a lot about it too, you guys, Rusty and stuff, about doing that in the past. Anyways.
Anytime something fails, it's still usable.
Yeah.
I can use that for something.
Something.
Right. Particularly terrain, because it's a destructive environment. So.
Yeah. Almost any war game, you can have a destroyed building on it. I mean, regardless of the era or the topic.
It's just bad when it's actually destroyed, and there's no bottom that needs to support the thing above it.
Yeah, and that's where you actually might.
There are limitations. There are limitations sometimes. Like,
no,
that's completely unnatural.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, but it's a warp gun that did it.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, it was Space Marines went to a medieval world and they shot a warp gun, and that's what did it.
You never know.
Were we going to talk about the mats and stuff?
Yeah, but I think Dan still has to go. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it is moving on in time here. So yeah, what are your thoughts, Dan?
When I was back in the 90s when I was messing around with Warhammer, I was going to do Warhammer, and it got the 5th edition starter set and was messing with that. I'd gotten the How to Make War Games terrain book that was out in the 90s as the red one.
Yeah.
And so the very first terrain I made was from there. I made hills using what they did. I made the little cottage, the barn, fences. I just kind of started there and made my own stuff, which I really liked, and I still find that being that can be satisfying, can be a little bit old school, a little nostalgic, or and it's just fun to be creative and crafty too. There's some really good channels on YouTube. The Plunder Den, it's this guy that's all into what's the game, Blood and Plunder. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why he calls it the Plunder Den. But he makes some incredible, completely from scratch. Like, he has just popsicle sticks and cardboard, and it is insanely good.
Yeah.
If you're just building terrain in any era, it's worth watching his channel. But so that was where I started, and I enjoyed that. And then I think what I've always done too, as my terrain has evolved and my views on it, I always everything on the table has to be the same though. Like if I did foreground, the whole table would be like foreground. Like I like how that all of it ties together, looks like it belongs. So I usually stick with one theme. One theme, one type of construction, or so then when I got into bolt action was when I finally was returning to miniature gaming. That was like 2015. And I wasn't sure if I was going to actually be able to commit. Am I actually going to do this? Am I going to paint an army? Am I actually going to build a table? So I was a little hesitant. So I was looking at all my options, and some of them were kind of spendy. And so what I ended up doing, which Rusty has seen it, and it's on my channel if anybody ever wants to see, where I use those David Graffam paper buildings.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is crazy good. They're all textured, and there'll be like moss on the side. And I mean, it's like your eye, like it plays a trick, right? It is so good. He's got shadows, and the cool thing about his in particular, well, they're dirt cheap, but you get the files, and then I can't remember what he calls it, but like it's the same building, but you can do it in stone, maybe 3 kinds of stone. And you just pick what you want, or brick, red brick, brown brick. You can have thatched roof, all the different things. Anyway, so you can buy that one building and make it all different ways. And then I started gluing them to foam core,
right,
to make them, it made them real sturdy, real 3D. And I mounted them on a base and started detailing them. And since they're paper, you could customize them so easy. I'd cut the one shorter and just slide the end wall in. I made one of them 2-story by using the same build, and you can move the windows around even before you print it. And I printed on heavy. So I print them on heavy cardstock and then glue them onto the foam core, and then the roofs a lot of times. Then I would actually make my own shingles out of cardboard, and I made a whole Normandy table that way. I had a ruined church. I had and then I started making my own buildings by combining kits. And so that was fun to be creative. It was very, very affordable. And I thought it really looked, it really looked good. And I used, flocking on the bases to match my table, and it blended in real well. And so I did that for my Normandy table until then I'm like, oh, I kind of want to kick it up a notch. So then what my ultimate goal is, I'm like, okay, I can do this. I enjoy doing this. I'm going to commit to some money. And so then I switched over to what the Cadillac to me is resin buildings. That to me is just the ultimate. Oh, yep. Got me going on terrain. I know. And so
resin buildings, you were starting to buy poured resin, right? Like buildings?
Yeah, I was buying poured resin buildings. And what are they called? Total Battle Miniatures were my first ones. And I just put in a big order, and they're over in the UK. And I got this great big box. They had them all bubble wrapped and stuff. And that then is what my current Normandy table is there. It's all, it's all theirs. It's all, so it all fits together. It looks connected. It looks real. I usually don't patch in resin buildings from other companies then. I mean, I could, but when I try to make my decision on my project, how I want to go at it, I do that. I try to pick one and stick with that. And it just looks like it, belongs together. Mm-hmm. And then the last table I made then, of course, was my Stalingrad table, and which I wanted to do resin because I'm like, yep. And what I used was Frontline Miniature, or was it? Yeah, Frontline Games. That's what it is. They're down in Texas, and he pours these himself. And I think, Rusty, if you see my pictures, I paste on Facebook. That's what it is. But they came as flat kits, and then you could build them yourself however you wanted. They were all modular.
Weren't you doing foam core though at a certain point?
The foam core was my Normandy table where I was using the cardstock.
So that was, you were adding that to the cardstock.
Yeah, I was. The cardstock David Graffam. I was then gluing it to foam core.
Okay. Because I do remember. I didn't realize
substantial. Yeah,
I didn't realize that was the one that you did them.
The wonderful thing is that you have your foam core style building sitting on the same table as your other ones, and if you're looking at a distance, it's hard to tell that they're even.
It worked, yeah. And again, because I flocked the bases the same, so I could blend them in.
Yeah.
And like what the nice thing was with those foam, just back to the foam core, and paper stock, then when you glue, like he had brick and stone walls. Well, if you glued that onto foam core, it gave it your thicker dimension, so it looked right. And then I glued bricks on the sides and stuff, so it looks like a wall. And then I just glued it onto a small base, and they're all modular. But on the Stalingrad table, I went with just all but one of the buildings on here is from Frontline Games in Texas, and there were a lot of work to get to, there's some warpage, and you gotta, I'd pin them and stuff to make them sturdy, and all of them are on bases. But I just, to me, I like the heft of the resin buildings. I like the details, like you said, Palmer, you get the textures of the stone and the brick. And it just, to me, is the most real that you can get.
So if you were to do another bolt action table in the future, like let's say you decide to do something for the Pacific or something like just totally different, what are you going to do next time? Now that you've actually done both of those styles, what is your next thought?
I think I'd still go with resin.
Okay.
Because one interesting thing, then when I can use most of my Normandy stuff and the stuff I built for my fantasy table way back, I can use for my Bretonians. But I did order off. I was trying to find a Grail chapel, and I brought this up in one of the other shows, and this one's actually through Etsy, and it was it's a 3D printed chapel. It was the one that had the look that I had in my head, and so that was the one I wanted to get. And it's FDM, but it's incredible. Nice. I mean, the detail is good. The heft is good. It's got a removable roof. It could just as well be resin as in my mind's eye, as far as the look that I'm going for. It isn't necessarily the material of the resin that I'm in love with, but basically 3D printed gets you there. Now, I just remember early on the FDMs had such terrible layer lines.
It's actually an interesting concept, because kind of what I never really thought about this until tonight, but like the illusion in gaming is that if you're not physically touching it and handling it, which most times in gaming you're not, like your hands aren't all over the terrain. Like it's just like usually it's your eyes that are just looking at the board, and like you might take a roof off and put a guy in it, but you're not really handling the terrain a lot. And so visually you can really be tricked into just like the paper terrain you're talking about, and and then also like even saying like that the FDM's not as heavy and like feeling as heavy as, like, let's say, solid resin. It may not matter if you're not touching it. It's going to just look amazing either way.
Well, and even on the paper craft, and then I kept kicking it up a notch. It's on the buildings. Then I took some like balsa wood and I etched them to make shutters that I glued. So I'm even bringing more 3D into his 3D, scheme that he's already printed on the. Putting some steps, and then I put maybe a little planter out front with some flowers in, just to really sell it. And it was so affordable, and they're easy to stack in a tote to store. I've got them all up here behind me, and these totes up here is my terrain.
Sure.
And it was so easy to make. Foam core is dirt cheap. Get yourself a big slab of that, and I used glue stick to glue it on. I printed on like 90 gram paper, or 100, maybe 90 gram paper. So it's heavy cardstock, and used the best print quality with the inkjet, and then, or laser printer, right? Or what's the
inkjet?
Yeah, inkjet. That is what it is.
Right.
And then I used
bubble jet. No, bubble jet.
Bubbly inkjet.
The New York Jets. Okay.
Right.
But I used glue stick to glue it on to the foam core. Otherwise, you'll get bubbling and rippling.
Yeah.
So that was the trick on that. And then after that dried, then I used just a straight edge, and I just cut out all the pieces and glue them together. And I had a lot of fun doing that when I built that table. It'd be tempting almost to do it again, but I just had so much fun doing that. That's good stuff. I'd still
creating little worlds,
which is what I probably love best about the hobby.
There's no grass. It's all buildings.
Yes.
It's a town center.
Yep. So anyway, so that's kind of me.
Well, how are you guys doing on time tonight? Are you guys okay to talk about the comments and maybe attack the mats for a bit? Or
Yeah.
because I know that we
go ahead.
usually get done a little close to 10, but I'm okay to go a little longer, but I don't know about you guys, just to talk about the mats and stuff.
Go
Yeah,
ahead and
yeah.
read the comments and we'll talk about
Where we're at.
Oh, that's the 10. So, or I should say 11 for some of you guys.
Yeah, for us people in
the
we're in the future.
the lower states. Well, why don't we do comments real quick, and then we'll go to the mats if you guys are okay as far as time tonight.
Mhm.
I know we're not always okay with that.
So I'm flexible.
We have got the glug 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 sound of BattleTech. I believe I have said.
Yeah.
And the Heavy Metal Pro. So, okay. So Neil says, I love my plastic Perry church and cabin. And that's what I was referring to when I mentioned his church, because I have that church too. It's beautiful. Once you get it put together, it's a beautiful kit. I don't enjoy putting together plastic injected molded terrain as much, but the quality is really good. And it is a hard surface. It's a 3D texture, you know. It doesn't have that substantial feel of resin if you like that, the heaviness of the building, but it is a great medium, and it has some of the things that for sure MDF doesn't, as far as like that 3-dimensional component. So they are good. Simon says church treasury is gone.
That's when you tipped your
yeah, that's this guy here, the little chest that fell out.
Yeah, I saw
those are those moments that you can't necessarily replicate on a live broadcast. Kind of keep it down. And so what else do we got here? He says, sorry. Okay, here we go. There's some great medieval resin models out there. That's true. Yeah. And I think that's a suitable period, great period for it.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that really, what are some of those companies where he releases stuff every month? He's got some great medieval miniatures that you buy the
3D prints.
Yeah, and then you print them yourself. Yeah, buy the files, whatever.
Chris says, I got 3 bamboo printers now and have mostly FDM terrain and MDF terrain for World War II, and Western and plastic. And Western and plastic for musket and tomahawks. Yeah, I don't know. I like to stick with one once I start with one too. And that's kind of, it makes sense in a lot of ways, but it's not that I've never mixed them up. But
Chris just said Reconquer. That was the company I was thinking of. Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Oh,
just was going to bring that up. He just put it down at the bottom.
Oh,
by the time we got to
okay.
it, we wouldn't remember what we were talking about. But that was the company that he releases resin miniatures every month, and they're amazing looking.
He said he likes to do small stuff in 3D resins. I have an entire Middle Eastern city. That would be really cool. I'd like to use that for like the Crusades.
Crusades,
that would be really cool.
The buildings would be all the same. It's like the look would be, even doing a moderns, Middle Eastern cities would look pretty cool.
These villages,
multi-purpose era.
Yeah. Yep.
Simon says it costs a fortune. I think he's probably talking about the Dwarven Forge, or doing the full tables of those like really expensive ones. Because Chris says right after that it's still poured hand and painted. So maybe they haven't went into the 3D printing as much. They still do it custom like that. So maybe they haven't changed their business model. Maybe they haven't needed to, because they've had a loyal fan following. I watched their documentary. They did a documentary.
If you ever, it's like when one time they were at Gen Con, where was it, Origins, one of the two, and they had their whole lineup was just on the table, just showing everything. It was all, and they had a little diorama, and you're like, oh my God, I want all this.
Yeah.
It's like, I need this. Oh, it's like you look at it, and then you go, maybe my pocketbook doesn't need this.
Exactly. So actually, I saw this comment come through, and I was gonna ask him about that. He's saying Plunder Den, which I think you mentioned, Dan.
Yeah.
He says Plunder Den won to Calgary a lot, Palmer, to put on demos at the box. So are you saying that they've come to Calgary a lot, like, or that they're here all the time? That's why I wasn't sure what you meant by that. And I don't doubt you on that, because I mean, I was at the box this week to play my Adeptus Titanicus game, but I'm not there all the time. But I do go there to buy stuff like at least twice a month, and at least to play a game at least once a month.
Oh, okay.
Usually,
He seems like
that'd be kind of cool.
He's
actually,
a cool guy. Seems like
maybe he'll put it in there. I wasn't sure what he meant. Maybe he's there doing demos. He comes to the box a fair amount. Is he Canadian, or is it just that he goes everywhere and he just chooses the box because it's a large store? That's the Sentry box for people that are wondering.
Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. I was thinking he was American, but he could be Canadian. I mean,
no, he might be. I mean, like, it's a big store. Oh, he says Canadian. Yes, Canadian. Okay, that's curious.
Okay.
So is it in Alberta here, or is he like just somewhere else in Canada on the East Coast or something? Or really nice guy.
Yeah, his channel is awesome. I haven't watched it in a little while, but it is awesome. He's just fun to listen to, and he's very good.
I didn't look ahead enough because he'd already clarified that he comes to Calgary. Paper Buildings is how I found Dan's channel.
Oh, no way. That's crazy. I had so much fun doing that.
We're not talking about mats yet, but Chris says that he loves the cloth mats.
Okay.
And yes, Reconquer Dan. Oh, he believes that he's in Alberta. That's interesting. So that's pretty cool. So he's local for the most part. We have provinces here up in Canada, not states, and so he would be like in my state. We have
so if he's a blood and plunder guy, it's like as an individual has his name in the rule book.
Hey,
I do know the guys that designed the game. So
right, forgot that.
Well, now that we're kind of heading past 10 a bit, why don't we talk about mats?
I'm gonna find that guy.
I'm gonna need more rum.
I need some. I could. Well, wait a minute. Do I have any rum here?
Why is the rum always gone?
No, I only have his rye and scotch. Sorry, no rum. Maybe next time we'll have rum.
All right. So, who would like to go first on the map discussion? Dan,
Rusty hasn't started one yet.
Yeah, you go. Then.
Yeah, it's like when you look at the mats. I played through the full gambit of them. I do, my first mats I ever had. Got these felt mats there, or tablecloths, I guess, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I have several. I have a tan one. I got the brown one, and I got a green one. And I also, at one time I used to have a blue one, for water. When we were playing a lot of sea games, I had no idea what happened to that one. It's like one of the times we were doing some rearranging, it disappeared. Probably in a box. But I gave it away because I have a cloth one that I sewed together for when we started playing a lot of dystopian wars. Now I know where to have to. We've played with the neoprene mats. Those are kind of cool. There was mats by Mars.
Mousepad mats.
Yeah, mousepad.
Mats by Mars. You can go in there and make a custom mat if you want to. So if you wanted a Starfield mat, you could put it's like, hey, I want this cool nebula on there along with a bunch of stars, and you could actually make it like
no way.
Yeah. You can customize it. You can put hexes on them, for that matter. But this current one, you looked at this, you see how it's all different colors and stuff on it. I bought probably 5 or 6 different cans of spray paint, laid it outside, and just went and just sprayed designs and let it sit in the sun and air out. And now you have like little blacks, you got a little shading, so it's not just standard brown. You got all the different colors on it.
Mhm.
So then when you put all your terrain on top of it, and it, something kind of
Looks
cool.
good. Yeah.
But in your case, Dan, you have a hard surface table.
Mhm. Yeah.
Was that you just put down sand and like latex paint?
No, it's actually just used Woodland Scenics flock.
Okay.
Did
Did you paint it first, then put the?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you put sand down and with it to give that texture, or
No.
just paint it?
No, just painted.
Because there was a game shop that we had here in town. They had some of the tables, and what they did was they took sand, and they painted it, and then throw sand down on it so it would get into it, so to have texture on the table.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't see, and that's what the big debate it always is when I'm doing terrain, is like I want it to look, as real as possible, but also want it to be super playable. And if your base surface was too textured, like when you set down your pieces of terrain, especially if they're on any kind of a base, they look like they're floating on the table instead of blending into the table. And so I just I've got like a gallon jug of Elmer's and just poured it out there and had a brush. So and then I did a couple layers of flock. So that's why it seems like it's slightly textured. Yeah. Like that from Hobby Lobby.
I got one right there. I was just gonna grab. I've got the same one.
Mine's right behind me here. You think I'd sniff it, or I go through it, but so that's what I did for that table, because this was actually my dad built this when we were in elementary school for a model train layout.
Okay.
And it's all bolts together, and so it was in our basement. And then when all of his kids moved out and my brother moved in, and he's like, "Anybody want this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I just brought it over here and used it for a gaming table. So it's a 4x8 sheet of plywood.
Yeah.
On legs. So
and it's just like you've seen. I have my other 4x8 table that's my original one that's sitting along the wall here. So I do have the option of dragging that thing out, and I could have a second gaming table.
Yeah, that's what's kind of cool. Or make a bigger table with what you got. I don't know if the height matches, but
I could
make it match.
It's just set it up on sawhorses and adjust it down.
There you go. Okay.
So
what would be your favorite then? So what's your that's what you've used. What would be your favorite?
If it's at home, I just prefer to use my felt table.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy because I can take, and like the last game we played, I put the hills underneath it.
Yeah, that was
so
nice.
You have the rolling hills without actually seeing the different hills. It gives it some depth and stuff to it.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty decently. But if I'm like at the game shop, they have like probably 30 different neoprene.
That
mats.
seems to be the go-to.
And they have different textures on all. It's like it's all printed. It could be a rubble cityscape or whatever, but it's just printed into the neoprene mat. And then you just put your terrain on top of it. It's pretty much the standard anymore. I've seen with almost every game store.
Well, yeah.
Well, they're indestructible, and they're you can roll them up to store them. They're kind of good for tournaments and hobby shops or game stores. What say you, Palmer?
Well, it's funny. I have trouble with this one picking a side because there's like huge advantages for two different directions. I mostly use the neoprene mats, and mostly because I feel like I play not a lot of games compared to some people, but I don't just play 3 games. Like I probably play 20 to 30 games in my arsenal, like not regularly, but I probably have 20 to 30 games that I could play. And so because of that, the easiest way to get into a game is to use a mat that's just purchased. Like it's from your time. And then there's some advantages too. Like when they first came out, they were the cat's pajamas, and they still are dominating as far as gaming. And part of it is that, like we just said, the eye can really trick you into just liking anything. If you want to all of a sudden play on an ice tundra, just get an ice tundra mat and put and then with all the really fine detail in those prints, you put your guys on there and you build your board on top of that, it's going to look great. And you don't have to put that much investment. You roll it up and take it away. You don't have to, if you're going in places, it's so easy to transport. If it's in your house and you're playing in your dining room, like I do sometimes, you could just easily bring it up from the basement. You don't have, it's not like, now I've done, and I do like it, I've done a superhero gaming board that's a 4x4 where I used cardstock for urban streets, and then I use Mod Podge over the top, and then I have my buildings on top of it, and it's like a physical board, although it's 2D, and I've liked it. It's great. So
storing it is another matter.
Storing is harder. So because I do like that side, and I often go that direction, I will say that there's something it very much lacks. And one, I know from the perspective of Dan and what you enjoy in the hobby, and like that 3-dimensional immersive feel and the texture is not there. So a 2D mat, like the texture, the feel is not there. Now, I started Warhammer in a time when it was all like sand textured boards that were like rock hard kind of boards with sand and glue. Yeah. And there's an appeal to it, because it's nostalgic. Like I like that physical feel. Like if all you had was the sand and the physical feel on the board, it would feel better and have this like experience that you wouldn't have with the mat. There's some negatives with it that the mats are good with, is that if you knock your miniatures down, you could argue that actually scraping your miniature across that board will take the paint off. Like, so
sandpaper.
And you could also argue the number of dice that I've lost, like going across the room off the table, has dramatically decreased after hitting a padded mat compared to those hard tables. And so there are some like real advantages and disadvantages for both. There's an aspect to the immersive, like I even like my Warhammer or Games Workshop green felt mats, or that like the flocked mats.
They're flocked mats,
and there's a feel when you have your hand on it. It's like he's walking on the grass, And so like there is they call it ASMR, right, where it's like there's this like enjoyment of like the tactile aspect of working with a textured surface that I don't get from those mats, and it's something I miss at times. At times I prefer other things than those mousepad mats just to get that experience. And I do like really appreciate the real dedicated boards like the one that you did, Dan, and where like you get the texture and the complete immersion, and so like that you do not get from the mats, and so I think like it's the two different directions. There's a huge practicality and some advantages with the mats. But then there's some experiences that you absolutely don't get that I can see going the other direction. That's kind of my thought. Yeah.
When you're talking about the sandpaper tables, that was pretty much common in the 90s at most game shops, and they had the felt that you just roll across it if you didn't want to have that texture. Because they prevailed all that, you just like throw it across. Yeah, we had. He's the designer of what was it? The heck they redesigned one of the. He's a local guy. His name's Gully, but he takes the felt table and he lays it out the felt, and then he takes literally sand and gravel and stuff, and he makes the roads and everything. And then when he's all done, everybody grabs a corner of it and
gets dumped into a bucket.
Back into a bucket. But so it's how you want to play with it, and you can make things 3D even with the cloth table.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. Exactly. Well, because Seventh Son put up a video here a few weeks ago I happened to catch, and he showed how he built his tables, and he uses cloth, but then he pours grit and stuff. He makes his roads literally with the grit, and then lichen, but then he shows when he picks it all up, he's got a system. This goes in this tub and that tub, and tears it down. But boy, he can really get realistic tables. But again, it's not the same and not as easy as a neoprene mat, or
I like the neoprene mats uh, for throwing, like for playing like a BattleTech game at the shop, and you get the cityscape texture on it, and you throw the buildings on it. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, no, yeah,
And
Absolutely.
I
And
had
it's-
thought about getting some larger neoprene matches to throw on the table here, and then throw my terrain on top of it to go that route. But it just, it's one of those things where are you willing to throw the extra expense into more mats? Because if I started down that road, I'd probably have to have 5 to 10 of them.
yeah.
Well, I guess it just depends on how transferable everything is. Because I actually find it's cheaper to go that route, because even with your regular tables, like, so if you only need a grass field, then you only need one mat. You also only need one textured table.
Yeah.
You know, but if you need to do like science fiction and fantasy and like, you know,
snow terrain,
like snow and desert and this and that.
Yeah.
Well, your tables that you have to make is going to take you like much more time and effort than the mats. Like, you know, so like, I agree with you. Like, we could need like gazillions of mats, but then we just have to also just like understand the choices we're making for gaming. Like, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you want 1 million tables, I guess the only thing, if you feel that you have what it takes to like make a physical table for every single scenario, and that it's cheaper and less time consuming than doing just mats, like an expense of doing that, then I think that could be fine. Like, you might have a way of doing that. Maybe it's like Dan was saying with like the Seventh Son, where you just like have a bucket of like rocks and a bucket of this and a bucket of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I actually find that if you have to physically build a table for every game that's different, that to me becomes limiting.
Yeah,
like
no,
rate limiting. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Where I can decide to get into a space game and buy a star map. You know, granted, I'll probably do that either way. You could make a physical space table, but it's kind of like that's very impractical.
To say, I do have black felt too.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, and it felts the comparison, and if, like, it really just depends on what you like and this and that. I have a brown felt thing right up there too that I can just like right where my finger is right there.
Yeah, I can see it
for stuff, and you know, like, yeah, it's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. If it's felt versus mats, then it's really like an expense issue. It goes towards felt.
It's like my felt mats right here. I've had a lot of them since the 90s. I just went to Walmart and said, "Hey, can you give me a 3-yard length?" And then it's like, you know, roll it out. And it's like, "Here's $10." Like, okay, good to go.
Yeah, that's true.
What say you, Dan?
Yeah, I always to start with the table that I had, where I've just flocked it with the green Woodland Scenics flock. Originally it was going to be for Warhammer Fantasy, and then that of course worked for Normandy, and I really like that. I like the look of it. Again, I like the actual texture, and then I use that exact same flock on my miniatures and the exact same flock on my building bases, and so it all blends in my hill. It all blends together really nice, you know. But then when the first time I really was, and the other thing I've toyed with thinking was cool is I really like, which I see Chris did mention, that those fur mats you can get, they're like cloth fur, and they look, boy, do they look. Some of them look like they might be a little difficult to get miniatures to stand on properly. Some of them are really
like wheat fields.
Yeah, and some of them are not as
teddy bear
tall.
fur, right? Teddy bear fur.
Yeah, but some of them are actually, you know, they're game mat. They're designed for it.
Okay.
I mean, you can make your own teddy bear fur one too, but I've seen ones, and some of them are even kind of blotchy where they've got texture on the cloth. So, you know, that's the most realistic look I've seen. But when it came time to do my Stalingrad table, I was like, what do I do? You know, it's glued on a green table. I got to do something. And I looked at every, you know, cigar box and all, cloth mats, neoprene mats. I was just trying to find one that was kind of either sort of maybe a little wintry, but not like, completely white, maybe blotches of white or kind of cratered or muddy or something. And I couldn't find one that I was in love with. I was like, well, that one would work. And so then my wife does a lot of quilting. And so I was with her one day in Hobby Lobby, and I was helping her pick out fabrics for a quilt. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. I mean, there's just a million choices. And I got looking, and that's what I ended up doing. I bought, it was uber. I mean, like I think I spent, I don't remember, it was like $30. And I got all the material I needed. She had to sew it together, to get, because it wasn't quite as wide enough. That's the word. And so we went the other direction, and she put a seam in it, which was perfect because she knows what she's doing. And it's well, you can see it in the pictures and that I post on Facebook, I guess. But it's kind of foggied. It's like grays and some black, and it just kind of there's no pattern. There's no, just because originally before I found that, I was looking at just buying a sheet, something like this, and then I was going to paint on it, because there's a couple guys I've seen YouTube channels through the years where they literally, just used a brush, and they showed how he kind of dry brushed, and he went heavy and just kind of made it. It's really cool, the effects. Yeah. And I thought, so I was going to do that, but this one actually looked the way I wanted. And 80% of the table's covered with buildings anyway, so I just needed
that's for two different boards, because one of them has got flock and then the other one is this. Is that correct?
Well, this is just a cloth thrown over the top of my green.
Okay.
Because the table that I have here is a permanent table that has the flock glued onto it.
And they use this for the winter.
And then, I throw this on for Stalingrad. I didn't go with the actual winter. It's just that to be a damaged cityscape.
Yeah.
I'm more, I was like September, October was kind of the time frame I was shooting for, because I didn't put snow on my Russian bases, and some of them have summer uniforms, some of them have winter. It was kind of that fall type.
Okay, sure.
So I didn't want a winter scene exactly.
Yeah, you wanted it to be somewhere in between.
Yeah. And it's, it's in a city where there's not green grass areas, and that city's been bombed to smithereens, and it's supposed just to be just a desolate, cityscape, basically. And then I like to I made lots of little bases, various sizes that I made rubble piles on that they scatter around. And then I took a bunch of grit and mixed it in the paint that I used to paint my building, so it matches the same color. I got a pretty good tub of that, and then I just go around and sprinkle that around to kind of blend the buildings. And it's easy to do, but it's one of those things. So if I was playing a different game each week, because like you're saying, Palmer, you're probably doing more different games, where I'm basically, bolt action's the only regular thing I play. And then when I'm not playing the game, I've got a sheet that I throw over it so it doesn't get covered in dust, and it'll sit up for months and months until we go back to Normandy, or I'll pull it off if I want to play Warhammer Fantasy. It'll just be on the green flock table, so that's just underneath, and just fold this sheet up, and I'm good to go. So that's still probably my favorite thing. I've looked at wanting to make modular boards before, because Mark and I, we talked. He wants to build a Stalingrad table, but he got busy with his son that was born a few years ago, about when we started the project. So he hasn't had the time that he used to on that. But he wanted to build a modular, like 2 foot square modular pieces that could be using like that thick pink insulation board, so you can dig in the shell holes and I debated with that, because I've seen some people build tables like that and they're gorgeous, but I wanted more modularity than that, because basically, you can keep turning those different directions, but you're again limited on how much exactly you're changing that, and I wanted everything to be like anywhere I want it. And so you got to compromise between, getting it completely like building a diorama, but being completely modular and playable. And I try to find that balance. It's hard because I want it to be as real as I can make it.
Yeah. that's the big compromise. Even with our buildings, when we talk about them, how we want them to be like beautiful, but also like not breakable. Like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not breakable. And then
So,
I like big enough that you can actually get your hand in to put a squad or a unit in.
yeah,
Otherwise, or you're not needing to use them that way in the game system. But a lot of factors to,
exactly. Chris says, I have geek gaming and cigar mats, plus I have
Oh, yeah.
made lots of my own cloth mats. So
Yeah.
that's similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, way back in the day, you brought up your Stalingrad table. We were playing Easy 8 Enterprise way back in the 90s.
That's old.
They one of the scenarios they had was the Battle of the Yeti, where you're playing like as the Germans on the Eastern Front, and the Snow Yeti shows up.
Oh.
And it was kind of a really cool table. Is that they took a white felt table and they spray painted grays and blacks and kind of like give that 3D kind of look. And they put some blues in there, and then they took the pink foam, styrofoam, and cut it into shapes, and then they painted that all white, and they had buildings on top of it. And we were the German forces, and we had to go through and get to the objective, but the Yetis were running across the table, tearing the heck out of it. But it was like, so you had a modern, it was like every once in a while you see a soldier, you couldn't see the Yeti until you got them point blank because they're white.
They're white.
And it was blizzard conditions. So you're all fighting at point blank range, and it's like, and all of a sudden you're one of your guys go, get ripped to pieces. But that was a really cool table that they put together. I wonder what it probably got burned up in their wagon that they had. And they lost everything in the fire. But
bummer.
It was a bummer. But yeah, it was. I always thought about making a white snowfield for playing games like that for the Eastern Front. That'd be, throw together like a Stalingrad table with nothing but snow.
I want to do a Battle of the Bulge. That's the one other thing that I could see maybe doing would be making a really detailed, Battle Bastogne or Battle of the Bulge table.
Yeah, and you'd have to have it almost all force with some open areas in it.
Yeah, and then you could have a town. You could have half the board be a town. Whether it's Foy or Bastogne or.
Yeah, the Battle of Foy, that would be a good one where the very edge of the table would be the town, and you had to go across the field to get to Foy.
Just be fun to put, snow on the buildings and snow hills and snow on the trees. And it'd be fun to do. I don't know if I'd actually do it because that's niche within niche, there.
Yeah.
But
I would probably go only as far as, take your regular Normandy buildings that you have. Mm-hmm. Because they're still usable because it's the same.
Yeah, it's still Europe. Yeah,
still Europe. And then you have the white that takes some either white flocking or a white mat, and then you'd have to have some. I have some. I recently bought a bunch of trees, but probably take that that snow effect stuff that you can spray.
Yeah.
Do the trees up without any flock on them, so they're bare. Mm-hmm. And then line them up. And one side, just spray to one side, so it looks like
flocking your trees. Yeah.
So it looks like the snow coming, and then you'd have to seal them up.
Yeah. Well, then I've seen people take like that thin plastic, that clear thin plastic sheets.
Yeah.
And they cut them to go over the roofs of their buildings.
Okay.
And then they put snow on that.
Oh.
So you can take your summer.
You can
building
take it off.
And just you just take it off.
Okay.
Actually, I think I've got a book over here that shows how they did that.
That's pretty
for their
cool.
Winter table, and so you don't have to have whole separate winter buildings.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, that would work.
It looked
what
good.
What kind of clear plastic sheets? Like the kinds that you put documents in and stuff to protect your documents? Or?
No, I was thinking they were using more like remember when they used to have the overhead projectors and the teacher would write on those.
But then where do you get those today?
I'm not really sure, and I think after we get off, I think I've got the book book up here that the guy gave me the idea, and I can just.
That's
pretty cool. Just share that on the page, then the Facebook.
Yeah,
page.
Yeah, I will. Okay, because I'm 90% sure it's how to make winter terrain. I think is what it was, and he was doing I think like Ardennes, if I remember right. It's a really good book. I'll show.
Something like that would still work on Eastern Front, Poland.
Yeah.
Even in the Baltic states, any of that would work.
Yeah. That way you don't have to have like this whole box of like winter flock buildings that, which is fine, but like
You just had your something there. I could is like came across as weird.
chickens.
Is that a chicken?
I was gonna say I wasn't sure if it was ducks or chickens. We're
Farm is like.
oh, there you go.
Your
Sword
sheep
fighting.
are getting loose. We're having flashbacks of living on the farm. Come on.
Yes, exactly.
I'll have to get Palmer back in his rubber room where he belongs.
Now I'm hungry for some.
Before you
Fried
hurt somebody.
I want 3 pieces of white toast. One
Anyways.
whole chicken.
All right. Well, we've actually, it looks like things are winding down. We got a couple people still in, but most of our audience, I think, at this point, has had to move on.
Excommunicado.
And, yeah. But no, that was actually a good topic tonight. We got a lot of mileage out of that one.
That
Yeah.
was good. That was super fun.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit more than our normal discussion of just like what's your favorite material. Like it was really quite a bit more in depth about like application, because in some cases we liked one thing for one thing, but we were like totally not into that for other things. So
It has
kind of interesting.
it serves its purpose for whatever direction you want to use it, because it's like any tool. One tool may be good for this application, but it's not good for the other.
Yeah. If you're going to have big stompy robots kind of going across it, you need something that has a little bit more toughness to it. Anyways, I think we got one more comment in here. Looks like Chris is saying good night, guys.
Yeah, good night, Chris.
Yeah, typically, when we get to this point of the evening, you got to go with it's time to kind of end it. So,
yeah. Long show.
That was good. It was fun.
It was fun.
All right, everybody. So, couple weeks.
We'll be back over here.
We'll chat offline about it. I do have like one thing that could interrupt with one of our future shows. I don't remember which one it is, but we'll talk in the chat when we're scheduling and figure out.
Well, we'll be back on March 33rd.
33rd?
33rd.
That's perfect.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Today's the 19th. Add 14 to it. It's the 33rd of March.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm actually good for the next one. It's April 2nd.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, not April Fools.
I should be
one
good
day
too.
away.
Oh, yeah. I always get caught on that one every year.
Yeah, just remember on the 2nd, you wear green, right? For St. Patty's Day.
That's
yeah,
right.
used to matter. I remember that. Yeah. Whoosh.
All right, so we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
Good night, everybody.
On my channel. So good night, everybody.
Take care.